Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. Let's see. Um, okay, we've got the wrong. We've got the wrong title in there. I am so bad at this, folks. All right, let's fix that. There we go. And let's see. Um, okay, check, check. Greetings, everyone. Let's see. We look like we're live. Yeah, we're live everywhere. Da, 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 da. Making sure the. Okay, good. I can see the comments and I can see Paul Bielatovich. What's up, my friend? How are you, man? Good to hear. Good to see you virtually. Man, we're long overdue a Zoom cocktail hang, my brother. Let's I've been swamped. But this is such a therapeutic thing to do this every week. It's a sorry, as I check the Twitter stream, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch. It's good to do this because it's really mentally, it's just good for me. I don't know how. Let's talk about mental health a little bit on this because your brain is X% fat. It's good fat. Oh, let me turn my voice up. We're going to talk about fat a little bit today. Let's see. Am I on the studio monitors? I am. So let's get rid of that so we can. Okay, no feedback. What do you do for mental health? I think there's a certain level of fortune to have discovered music in my life. That way, I can, go into that world and and make loud noises like that to bust your ears. But meditative sound, playing a guitar, doing whatever it takes to stay sane. But a little bit of meditation. I'm not a major meditating person, but I do a little bit, a couple times a week. I have fallen off of yoga. It's been a couple. We were doing yoga like every other day for a while, like 4 times a week, and I injured my shoulder a little bit. Hey, I'm 55. It starts to happen. But I injured my shoulder. It feels pretty good now, though. It's pretty good. I need this shoulder anyway, what do you do for mental health? Let's have that as one of the questions today. I've got a little list of things today, and I'm going to start trying to get more organized. But I want to talk about the lab-grown chicken. Did you all see that? There's lab-grown chicken in Singapore, first country to make it legal. And in Israel, there's a company where they're serving it. They just to reviewers and kind of people trying it out and writing about it. But what do we think about that? If the meat is grown in a lab, so an animal is not killed. 2 questions people tend to have is it ethically better and environmentally? I say absolutely, out of the box. If we can close down these plants that are destroying lakes and streams and rivers, yeah, And then the second question is, would you try it? People ask me, nope, it's still meat. It's growing meat in. Yeah, Paul, I'm going to talk about this later, but you can, I encourage you, feel free to multitask and look up, well, I'll just put it on the screen right now. So I have a special guest coming up. That's the other thing on the agenda. As I go through the agenda, her name is Hayette Bouras, and she's a wonderful chef and She happens to be plant-based, vegan. She's a co-owner of a place called the Sunflower Diner here, and just a wonderfully creative and very cool human being. So we're going to talk to her about the restaurant and some of the stuff going on in natural foods and how things are blowing up. But yeah, Paul, and all New York Times, it's all over the place, but I'll show you the New York Times article real quick here. The New York Times, and I read it on CNN. Also, so here it is. Singapore approves a lab-grown meat product, global first. So it's in a little plastic or glass kind of, in a way like you would grow mushrooms or something. It's a culture, and it's soaking in a little soup of vitamins and protein and things like that. It is growing. It's a living. It's very weird. You got to read about this. It's growing. It's animal flesh growing in a substrate of nutrients, so it doubles in size. Google the one in Tel Aviv, because that company's up and running and they're serving these veggie burgers. Chicken burgers. Interestingly, very interestingly, because it's still pretty expensive to do this, as you can imagine, they haven't scaled it yet. Interestingly, the one in Tel Aviv, the burger is part plant-based. So you can only wonder what the percentage is, but to keep the cost down. So how ironic, they're actually using, vegan ingredients to kind of bulk out this burger and make it cheaper, So I don't know, but maybe someone could do the homework. Is the one in Israel 30% animal flesh and 70% plant? Is it 50-50 like the old McDonald's burgers used to have soy in there at some percent? Likewise, the one in Singapore. So interesting questions there. But in general, I'm fascinated by it. Those of you know I'm a big science guy, and I love science fiction, and I'm a futurist. I'm always thinking about what's going to happen in 20 years or in 20 minutes. So very interesting. I predict this is going to be massive. If you want to invest, I know nothing about investing, so I don't want to make it sound like that. But this feels like this will, for a couple of reasons. And one of the topics today is COVID and the vaccine. I want to talk about that because, as we have brought up before, COVID is intimately connected to how we treat animals, right? The whole wet market outbreak and how COVID came about. So relevant to this discussion. And the mink outbreak, if that's something you're unfamiliar with, let me come back off this article. The mink outbreak is also blowing up. So I'll talk about this article again in depth later, but the last thing I'll say for a second or until I come back to it, it's the company called Eat Just that is doing this particular one, this Singapore approved chicken. And if that sounds familiar, yes, it's this company Just Egg that I've talked about before, that they make that mung bean oriented originated egg substitute, egg replacement. So you've got, and as you can see on these links, there's a bunch of, here's an article from September 2018, Meat Labs pursue a once impossible goal, kosher bacon. So that's, I guess, pork grown in a petri dish as well. So it could be kosher. So anyway, you've got a lot of food tech issues that are fun and in the news. And I always encourage people to read that stuff because that's where the rubber hits the road. So, okay, great. Let's get back to some hellos here. So again, in about 20 minutes, my new friend, I've known her for a year or two, Hayette Bouras, and she's co-owner and the chef and the mastermind behind this Sunflower Diner. So we're going to talk about that. And if you're visiting Asheville, or if you ever would, it's a great place to go. We got a pie there for Robin's birthday, and we got one for Thanksgiving. And So wonderful desserts and things. And then we had a meal there about a year ago. We really don't go out to eat that much at all, and even before all this. So it's been really easy. But really nice place. We did Thanksgiving there a year ago, 13 months ago, whatever it would be. And really great, like a 5-course thing. So anyway, we're going to talk to Hayette. We're going to talk about her journey in plant-based living and cooking and creativity. And we're going to talk about her heritage. She has heritage in North Africa, in Tunisia. So we're going to talk about, she grew up there for a little bit. And I'll let her tell the story, of course. I'll have her tell the story. But the highlights would be, some wonderful stuff about growing up in Tunisia for a little bit, growing up in Saudi Arabia for a little bit, growing up in North Carolina for a lot. And wow, what a nice mix of cultures. And the thread going through it is plant-based food, folks. It's so wonderful that anywhere you go, as soon as you flip that switch and you're looking for it, you find that it's very easy to be veg. So let's go through some comments. Hey, Sabina, how are you? Good to see you. And let's see. Paul is there. Sabina, okay, concentrating on the positive. Right. So answering my question, how do you, yeah, exactly. I do. As much as it's funny because it's well, people who know me know I'm pretty positive, and I don't need to really prove that to anyone. But if you don't know me, it seems like I'm highlighting the bad news. No, I'm just a realist, and I don't want to shy away from bad news. I'm always talking about, hey, we're on the Titanic. You saw the iceberg, right? You saw we hit this thing, and the boat's going like this. So that's but then I'm saying, so let's get these lifeboats. Let's get this. Let's get life jackets. Let's fucking get out of here. Bad metaphor because we're not getting out of here. But yeah, I'm always positive, and I spend a lot of my day avoiding the news. Well, not avoiding, but what's the word? Rationing the news. Some days I'm down here in my studio and I'm writing music or recording or video editing, and I don't watch any news till 10 or 11 at night. And then I watch a little bit, and then I listen to some music to clear my mind of what I just saw. But I'm, for me personally, staying aware is vitally important. So you're right, staying positive and figuring out how to stay positive while staying aware. That's the balance. Let's see. RB Kratz, how are you? And Lori. That's right, Raymond. It is stranger than fiction, but get ready. I predict that shit's going to be the main deal in a few years. Again, as the animal slaughter industry collapses, I haven't updated y'all on numbers recently. I hope with all these things, it inspires you to go look on your own. But a few weeks ago, we discussed how there was 42,000 infections in the pig slaughter, cow slaughter, chicken slaughter companies, all total put together. There's probably lamb slaughter and bison, I don't know. Maybe those are a little more fringe. But in the big three, 42,000 infections and over 250 deaths. And you got to remember, these are folks getting shit pay, just fucking shit pay. These are the modern indentured servants of our society. So cheap chicken can be available for you, and cheap pork. And it's really, in many ways, it maps over to slavery because you have sentient, pain escaping organisms. And I say it that way because there's always someone who says, hey, Andre, how do you know lettuce doesn't feel pain? How do you know tomatoes? Oh, man, that is so tiring. Because first of all, let's say they do. Let's say tomatoes are in agony. Well, it's still environmentally more manageable for planet Earth to grow tomatoes instead of setting up another chicken plant or grow a field of wheat or soybeans or sweet potatoes or what have you. But it's unlikely that they do because we know a lot about biology and we know about plant reactivity. And there's research showing, yes, that if you cut a tree and you or you break a branch or break a part of a tomato plant off. Absolutely, there's scientific measurements that show that plants emit some sort of an energy when that happens. So they are absolute sentient beings. They're responding to this. But for most plant-based food, we don't kill the plant. We take the tomato, we take the apple, we take the almond, we take the cashew, we take off the eggplant, we cut a few leaves of kale and let the rest of it grow. On and on. We pick some cherries, we pick some lemons, we pick some grapefruits, we pick some olives. Did we kill the plant? Didn't kill the plant. Plant remains. We've now done the plant's biological imperative, which is to move its seeds somewhere else so that another plant grows, right? That's why plants, not why, but that's kind of the DNA imperative of a plant, right? To reproduce more plants. In fact, if you study biology, that's the imperative of all organisms, right? So, but it's a very interesting area to me because the vast majority of plant-based food, you don't kill the plant. You know, almonds, cashews, like I said, all these nuts, you know, we can go all day. You get the picture. Avocados, doesn't kill the plant. In fact, what you do again is you're helping the plant from the plant's perspective because you eat those avocados far away from where they are, and hopefully the seeds go somewhere else. So that plant keeps winning because it keeps. Anyway, this is something that comes up, and going back though to the way we are doing things with these massive industrial-sized killing factories to kill pigs, to kill chickens, to kill cows. I'll say it again because sometimes there's new people here, but if that's what you want to eat, full respect. You know that. People who've been watching this for a while know that. Total respect. I just ask you to look at a better source for it. How about some grass-fed lamb or cow flesh? You know, lamb flesh or cow flesh. How about animals that aren't shot up with growth hormones and food coloring and well, food coloring is added later to chicken in the processing, but you know, fertility drugs and antibiotics and steroids. You know, go ahead, enjoy meat, enjoy flesh, enjoy muscle of animals. If that's where you are, that's awesome. Wherever we are, we are. But I'm urging you, just environmentally, like, take a look at how it's costing us, whether the rainforests or the hog farms with these giant lakes of hog effluent that we can't do anything with. This highly acidic stuff that leaks into lakes and streams and you know, gets into our ecosystem. So again, looking at all that, and then you realize, wait a minute, this is connected to COVID. Holy shit. Because the folks running that system, so you can have dirt cheap chicken, are dying at an unbelievable rate. They're paid crap money for the danger, for the difficulty of the job, for the repetitive motion injuries, for all the, I mean, I've read too much about this stuff. Horrible job. You go back to Upton Sinclair, The Jungle. I mean, we haven't done anything in a century because who cares? They're immigrants. They're brown and black people. Quotes around that, of course. We live in a world where someone will take that clip and say, you know, Andre hates immigrants. No, Andre is a brown immigrant. I don't, I'm standing up for them and for them being the workers in these plants. So just some stuff to think about, folks, because here we are in the pandemic, and it has a lot to do with the wet markets and the treatment of animals in China. We've traced this with pretty good certainty to being yet another outbreak from the wet markets, which are inherently just diseases waiting to happen. You know, you put these wild animals that never were together, all crowded in less than ideal situations. So we've been through that. Anyway, back to some of your comments. Hey, Scott, what that looks like a delicious lunch. Chopped salad, greens and edamame, sunflower seeds, toasted quinoa. vinaigrette, and some pinos. Spicy, a man after my own heart. Yes. I'll show my lunch in a second. Sabina, that's nothing you want to eat. Exactly. Europeans are different in the field of food, much more natural, not chemistry, genetic. I'll push back on that a little bit. There's a Dutch company that's doing the same thing, that's doing the lab grown. So I'll side with you that because I always defend the EU food rules. They're much stricter. Absolutely. And I love when I'm eating in England or Europe, which are now separate. Good work, Brexiters. But so you're right. I don't disagree with you. Everywhere I go in Europe, whether it's Iceland or, Italy, Germany, absolutely is one of the top 2 or 3 for strict, clean food laws. Like really, you read the labels, and it's really. That said, I think you all have your fair amount of chemistry and genetic altered stuff. We could go into a whole discussion on Germany and genetic modification and, chemistry experiments, but we won't. But I think that's always a great topic. But certainly, there's a fair amount of chemical, lab-grown meat happening in Europe. Don't mistake it. I've read about a couple countries that are working on this, and once this becomes required, but I think to your point, there will be a split. There'll be those of us who say, "No way, no, I'm not touching this at all. I want things as they grew, as they came out of the ground." So, to your point, absolutely, and I think also you're correct that Europeans, when that split happens, there'll be more percentage Europeans going for the natural things. Scott, yes, Just Egg is incredible. Good stuff. I really want to try to make that from scratch. Different cultures, some are beware, some of this for. Yeah. Paul says this is going to be huge. Yeah, ethically, and it'll be cheaper to produce. Exactly. Once it scales up, bro, it'll be crazy, and you'll have these plants everywhere. Let's see if my guest is here. Okay, great. Hayette is here. Let me bring her in, and let's really quickly. I'll come back to your questions, but let me just quickly scan. Titanic. Yes, I love the Titanic as an analogy. I overuse it. A quick note on Titanic for Titanic freaks. On YouTube, there's a real-time cartoon simulation of the Titanic going down. I'm real time. It's 9 hours long or 15 hours long, however long it took to sink. You can actually put this on and watch every second, and they've duplicated scientifically like how it went under. So, okay, let's thank you, Paul. Exactly. A plant's fruit functions to be eaten by other animals. Exactly. And to be spread. Hog effluent. Yes, I will use that. Of course, I mean, and not only in China. Yeah. I not that I said that, to be fair, but any industrialized country. Yes. But I was just highlighting the States and China. And China, very important because of the China virus. No, because the wet markets are there, and repeatedly they've been a problem. So, but yeah. And, we have when you think of the 3 biggest populations on Earth, right? You got China, India, and the United States. So again, those 3 should be the ones kind of that we're looking at strictly, right? And India, I don't know much about their problems, but I do know that somewhere north of half of their population is vegetarian. So right away, they're culturally not killing as much cows. They're not killing almost any pigs. So, we could have a whole discussion there. But and India has its own environmental problems. Okay, and that's okay. Yeah, exactly. We're in agreement, Sabina. Yes, the EU rules are not good enough. Well, then the American rules, you don't want to move here because they're 1/10 as strong. And yeah, people are not open to. Yep, exactly. Okay, great. So let's get our guest Hayette in, and let's see here. Let's make sure I can hear her. Let's channel this. I can hear you. Hey, Hayette.
Can you hear me?
I can. I can see you. Awesome.
All right, great.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm actually coming to you from home. I got out early today.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I was checking, so I was like, oh, wow, she's here already. So I had to,
Yeah.
let's get you in early. Yeah, a pleasure. So let's jump back here so I can see questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, Hayette, and tell me how to say your last name properly.
Bouras.
Bouras. Okay. Hayette Bouras. So great. We have both of us on the screen. So here, Hayette, folks, is, as we spoke about, the co-owner of a wonderful restaurant locally called the Sunflower Diner. She's a chef. She's a incredibly creative food magician, I would say, because she comes up with these really amazing foods and textures and flavors. And she's lived in a couple countries around the earth, so that's who she is. Hayette, tell us a little bit about. Well, let's start with the Sunflower Diner. For people who don't know, we're here in Asheville, North Carolina. Tell us a little bit about the diner and how it started, and what you're
All
doing.
right. Well, first, thanks so much for inviting me to be on your show. This is so exciting. I really appreciate it. And yeah, the diner was just kind of like the culmination of a lifelong sort of dream, uh, manifestation of a love affair with food. And I've always kind of worked with food or been in kitchens. And yeah, I really wanted something that was sort of my own vision and also something that was um, plant-based. All the kitchens I've worked in, I've had to prepare meat. Um, and I wasn't really feeling like doing that anymore. I felt like I put my time in, and I wanted to explore what I could do. So about a little over a year ago, our friends that own the West Village Market allowed us to kind of do an experiment in there when Carl and Judy went on their way after such a like almost a decade of that beautiful juice
Amazing.
bar they had there. Yeah, it just kind of worked out to where we could try a little something in the market, which is a good relationship. I think we fit well with them.
That's great. And West Village Market, again, there's some people watching in Asheville. I'm sure you know West Village Market. If you don't, and you live on the north side or the east side, come check it out. It's incredible, one of my favorite stores anywhere, and certainly in town. And right inside the West Village Market is Sunflower Diner. And as Hayette said, right, there was this amazing couple for years, Carl and Judy, who had a juice bar. And they did shakes and stuff, and awesome. They were great. It was so sad when they announced, but wow, we're one door opens, the other closes, and here y'all are. So it's great. When did you open? What was it? When did you open
It
door?
was the beginning of October last year.
Oh,
Yep. So just over a year we've been open. Been an interesting first year for sure.
yeah,
Definitely didn't plan on a worldwide pandemic.
right.
Um, but super encouraged by the support that this community, both like the market community that was existing and then the vegan vegetarian community in the area. And even regionally, we've had, people regularly travel from Columbia and Tennessee to come eat with us, which is super cool.
That's
Yeah.
so fantastic, and that's one thing. One of the things too. You raise a great point, and people ask all the time about Asheville, and we're actually kind of centrally located. We're kind of right between certain things. We're kind of right between Atlanta and Lexington and Louisville and Charlotte. Everything's 3 to 4 hours away from us. Even Nashville's just 4 hours. So you're right. I do hear people that come into town for different stuff, music and whatnot. So that's great to hear they come to eat there. So okay, so you've been open, yeah, a little over a year, and Robin and I were there for your Thanksgiving last year.
Yeah, that was so fun. I hate that we couldn't do it again this year. It just didn't seem safe. But we love doing that sort of thing and creating a experience for people. The whole idea behind opening the diner was not really to preach to the choir. I mean, we have a lot of support, a lot of people that get health and animal rights and environmental reasons for eating plant-based, if not all the time, just more often, right? But what we wanted to do, what my vision was kind of a gentle sort of attraction to people who may not already be eating that way, or who may think that meat is required of every meal. We just wanted to make some really good food using some good non-GMO organic ingredients. And we wanted to come at people through comfort food because we feel like that's a nice approach. And then that food just happens to be vegan, you know? So
I love it. It's one of my favorite ways to approach this. And you and I have talked about that a little bit in the store and, chatting. I love it. And those folks who watch this live cast often know that resonates so much with what my message is here. It's not about banging people over a head or handing them a pamphlet or anything. Just kind of saying, hey, try this. And then they go, oh my God, this is so good. And sometimes you have to roll your eyes because I'm sure you hear it like, wow, I can't believe it's good and it's vegan.
yeah.
Right? Sometimes.
But we love that reaction. We love that reaction.
I need to work on. I'm pretty patient with it, but I've heard it so much that I'm just like, oh, man, and it's just a tad insulting. It's like, wow, so you thought I just ate cardboard for 20 years?
Right.
You don't. But
eating's like my hobby. Food is my favorite.
Yeah, I love it. So now under COVID, and as you said, wow, let me do the math here. October, November, December, January, February. You got like only 4 or 5 months, right, of regular.
Right, and those first 4 or 5 months were winter in Asheville, which is pretty tough for a restaurant. And the first couple months we were open, right? So before people even really knew we were around. So the fact that we've made it through this year makes me feel like super grateful. Also, it's not like I came into this with a multitude of years of restaurant management. This was my first time doing this, although I've worked in lots of kitchens.
Sure.
It's been a learning curve, and maybe maybe this has been beneficial, like a crash course.
One of my funny sayings is make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
And put a little vodka in it once in a while.
Really, you have to adapt. I mean,
have to adapt, and that's one of my favorite plant-based concoctions. But kidding, of course. But it's making lemonade. And I applaud you for. So you've been open more under COVID than not,
right?
and doing really great. So I wanted to. Okay, well, so you said the other day that you're obviously our rules, like all the rules across the 50 different sets of rules in this country, they come and they go, and we've been able to be partially open and then not open. So, but you've been doing delivery the whole time, correct? Through Kickback.
No. Well, we started with delivery when we opened through a local business called Kickback AVL. Yep. We were super excited to join forces with them because they're local and independent, woman owned. I mean, it just kind of jived with us. So they do delivery for us. And luckily we were already set up with them before this, Now we are in a market, right? So initially when the pandemic happened, we were already kind of considered essential. I mean, like many restaurants were, but that was a nice kind of, okay, we're already here. People are already coming to get groceries. We'll just go to takeout only. So it was a good little transition. We pared down our hours and our staff, and it was really me and my lead line chef, Sarah, and that was it, working for like a month or two there, doing takeout. So we kind of just put our noses down and did the work. We opened a couple of times for dine-in over the past 6 months, and people wanted to come. People loved it, but although we haven't been mandated, we just felt like it was probably the safest move with the numbers doing what they're doing, to go ahead and revert back to takeout and delivery only. And we've seen a serious hit in our sales, because of it, but it just seems like the responsible thing to do right now.
That's very. I applaud that on many levels. I'm going to show the kickback AVL. In fact, I'll show it now, and then we'll come back
Oh,
to it.
they're amazing.
But I want people to see this. And again, if you're local to Asheville, we're talking to Hayette Bouras from the Sunflower Diner over on Haywood. And so here's the menu, and
Yeah.
I'm going to put the link in the chat. I always do, so people can look at that and drool if they're in Chicago or, overseas or somewhere. But those of us here, as Hayat said, the focus is comfort food. So look at that. There's a mock Philly, and there's avocado toast, and there's biscuits with gravy, and just really awesome, traditional, a lot of Southern stuff, a lot of just great, hearty stuff, delicious, and proving that you can do it with plant-based. So that's the menu.
So much fun.
Well, yeah, it really is. We'll come back to that. So tell us a little bit also, as you've said, you're inside a market, and someone's drooling already in Chicago. You're inside a market, and I love it. And your partner in crime, who owns the market and is part of the diner. Tell us about that, Roseanne,
Sure.
who I love, and one of the first people I met in this area, and I you didn't know this till a couple of days ago, but I co-owned with my late partner a natural food store.
That's so cool.
For over a decade, and then I worked in another one for 5 years. So from the day I walked into, I'm just spacing out a little bit here because
the West Village Market, yeah.
Yeah.
Or did you go to Grove Arcade?
I did. I saw the place then. I'm just spacing out a little bit because I met Roseanne. My partner was still alive, so she was a very good friend to me when Sherry died, and when I had to share that with people, and I was just in a cloud for years, and still am a little bit, but I was really in a cloud, and I really appreciate I had this place to go that was like, there was Whole Foods, there was the other, but to have a little tiny store that really got it and understood the special products, and that you could talk to someone. You could talk to the owner and say, hey, can you get this? Can you get that? I need some CoQ10 that's vegan, or I need this brand of spirulina with ginseng. And that takes forever in the bigger stores. So right away, I connected with Roseanne, and her spirit is so great. And to watch how it's grown, wow, it's there's nothing you can't find in that little store. And then you're off on the side. So talk to us a little bit about how you got connected there with West Village. And
Sure. Yeah, totally. I love what you were talking about. What makes places like that market special are relationships that are sometimes easier to develop with these smaller, independently owned businesses than the bigger box stores. Like you said, it makes everything a little bit more meaningful and purposeful. But I met Roseanne when she had her previous market in the Grove Arcade. I was a baker at a tiny bakery there when they had the corner market. And then a couple years later, I came to work in the deli at the West Village Market for Roseanne. And then over the years, I went back to school later in life. I just recently graduated from UNCA a few years ago. And while I was in school, I was working at the deli, among other places, just trying to get by while I was finishing my degree. So we maintained a relationship on and off over the years, and I always shopped there and would come and fill in if she needed help. So I don't know if you knew this, but I have her dog. 7 years ago, she gave me her miniature poodle, who was the light of my life. So yeah, we're like family. And then when she first found out about Carl and Judy deciding to retire, she reached out to me. I was working as a program manager at Green Opportunities nonprofit, heading up their Kitchen Ready program, which was a really cool job and neat organization. But I decided to leave there to fill this. We were like, okay, I'm like, I can put something in there. Put me in there. I can do this. Let's do this. And so she was a little hesitant at first, I think, to take this drastic step of closing their deli window, which had been serving and making meat sandwiches
Yeah.
for 9 years, to offering this plant-based menu. So I really need to commend her for taking a chance at me.
Taking that leap. Taking that leap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's incredible. Because it's bravery, and I know as a former business owner, every day is bravery and taking chances.
Yeah.
That's great. I want to see if there's any questions, and people, please go ahead and ask questions or suggestions. And we're here with Hayette. Hey, Robin's here, so
Hey, Robin.
she's local, so maybe she'll even jump on. Sumitra, my dear friend Sumitra, our dear friend.
Sumi.
Yeah, do you know Sumi?
We work together at the market.
Wait, oh no, is this the same Sumi? She lives in LA?
No, maybe not.
Okay. Because I just went boom.
Sumitra lives in I think she's on the West Coast now, Oregon, maybe.
Okay, different person, but I'm ready for anything. That's the thing today. When people say that, I go, okay, here we go. Someone knows someone, and I love this time we live in. We were talking about positivity before, because the kind of connections that happen in the modern world are like that. And you'll go, yeah, we were roommates in Tokyo for 2 weeks, and I'm never surprised. But anyway,
things that happen.
But Sumitra, she's a musician and a composer and a music teacher, but she's been in Asheville. So for a minute, I thought she came to play here. She played.
Cool.
She played at ISIS a year or two ago, and I'm sure we told her, like, because she's vegetarian. I'm sure we told her, yeah, go down to. So for a minute there, it all made sense that but she's saying, we were talking about India and other countries before you came on, and she's saying that meat consumption is sadly on the rise in India, as it is. You and I were talking about yesterday, when the economy goes up in some countries, unfortunately. So, okay, and we're going to come back to that. Tiffany Schultz says, loves Sunflower Diner. Yes, we do. 4 hours round trip to Amsterdam. Okay, great. We have some folks in Amsterdam, in Germany. Let's see. And we have Dave Harris saying hi, and he's happy you have Cuddles, the dog. So, okay, and Sabina's looking for a good vegan Christmas cookie recipe. So maybe we'll get that on here. And I know Laura Darty was going to put one. Yes, Robin saying it would be crazy if you and Sumi were friends, but you will be one day, because she will.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so cool. I always have to catch up on the questions because sometimes I miss people. So coming back to our journey then, why did you go vegetarian? Why did you go vegan? Tell us about that.
It's been a journey. I don't feel like I'm really that different from most other people I talk to, but I don't know if you mentioned this, but like my father's Tunisian, my mother's from North Carolina. So consequently, my father's side of the family all still lived in Tunisia, and we would visit them periodically throughout the year, mostly for Eid, once a year. And when I was about 7, I was there visiting for a couple weeks, and I was feeding these sheep that I thought were like our pets, and then come to find out, one of them got slaughtered in the front yard in front of me. And yeah, not to be judgmental about that process, means a lot to a lot of people. And I think there are probably more acceptable ways to consume meat than others, but
Sure.
For me, it was like that moment of clarity, like, oh my goodness, chicken is chicken. These are the same thing. It's not just like a nugget and a bird, 2 different things with the same name. It just all kind of came together and just hit me in a way that wasn't palatable for me. So at that point, I stopped eating meat. I was about 7, and bless my mother's heart, because my brother, my sister, my father, she still ate meat. So she would always make sure I had something balanced and good to eat for dinner, even if it was different from what she was cooking for everyone else. And made sure that I wasn't just a a junk food vegetarian
Sure.
going through high school, which is easy to do. You're like, oh, French fries, that's vegetarian.
Freedom. Right. No, we've
um,
yeah.
so yeah, that was kind of my moment then, and I haven't eaten meat since. But
Wow.
throughout my adult life, I did a couple of like years of veganism for different reasons. Like, hey, I'll try that out. Um, and this was maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago. But I always kind of missed certain like things, like people would say, like I really liked butter. I really like full fat European butter, you know, and I couldn't find a suitable replacement. Cheese wasn't as good back then, you know, and
Sure.
I really did miss cheese. But honestly, I just hadn't made had that moment of clarity with it either. And then it wasn't until I was at school at UNCA. This was probably about 3-4 years ago. I don't know if you know Dr. Amy Lanou. She's like my mentor. She's the chair and professor, or the chair of the health and wellness department at UNCA.
Okay.
And she's vegan and very active. And she taught the nutrition course in my health and wellness degree. And she wasn't pushy about it, but she did a lecture on dairy and just basically laid out the health effects. And the entire course was sort of like, here's all this information, do what you will with it. And like I didn't turn back. After that, I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't need any of this in my life. And it hasn't been an issue at all, you know. And now she's one of my best customers. She lives in the neighborhood. I know. It's so great.
That answers my next question. Is she still in the area? I'd love to be in touch. That's perfect kind of person to have on my show.
Oh gosh, she would be amazing. Yeah.
And the science of vegan, the science of plant-based is super important to me. You know, it's a discussion I touch on this show, and I keep saying I'm going to do a whole day of it, but that's where it really you get into some interesting stuff because you know, yeah, I'll leave it at that. So okay, that's a great snapshot, and as you said, a lot of people. I wonder though, I wonder how many people like you and I were in other countries, ironically, and we saw this issue, and I wonder though, in America, if you don't live on a farm, like how many Americans see an animal die like for food?
Yeah.
I think it's probably because one of the things we do in the Western world in general, but absolutely in America, more than anyone, and maybe Canada, similar culture, we really hide it away. We put these abattoirs, as they're called in England, as I grew up with that word, these slaughterhouses, which is better because it tells you what it is. We put them far away, and we put them where the poor people are in many cities. You find we put the power plants and the slaughterhouses. There's one, I forget this city I go when I'm on tour, and the gig is right next to a slaughterhouse, and it just smells. You are nauseated. The smell. So I think, you know, to your point, I think a lot of Americans don't ever really see that act. Of course, we both know people in a kind of a hipster town like this that have chickens and they kill them once in a while, but usually it's eggs. But other than that, you know, I wish people did see it because then,
Yeah.
you know. So when you were 7, then so you saw that, and that was it immediately next day, or was there any kind of like?
It's so funny. It was basically that day. I just told my mom I'm not doing this anymore. It was, you know how it is. It's actually pretty beautiful to have that sort of relationship with your food if that's what you're gonna do, I think.
Absolutely.
But I remember vividly watching my grandmother, clean the intestines and stuff them. I remember, it's third world country. They had no electricity. It was a outhouse situation in the desert, so this carcass is, salted and hanging from the ceiling outside of the kitchen, all week. I'm having to walk by it.
Sure.
I can smell it. It just wasn't for me. I'm not trying to pass judgment per se.
No.
I feel like that sort of a relationship with food is preferable to me than this sterile, out of sight, out of mind, industrialized
Absolutely.
sort of cruelty that's going on. This sheep was not live in a bad life, and every bit of it was used, and you know,
No, that's
people were grateful for it, and you know, I don't know.
that all
Looks different, but not for me. You know, it just was like, I'm not putting that in my mouth. You know, I don't need to.
that all rings true. You know, and again, you and I have talked about that a bunch of times. That close relationship that happens in other cultures. Now, unfortunately, we're so far from that with the industrialized factory bullshit we have here. But absolutely, and I say it all the time, and I jokingly say on my show, and I'm only half joking, is I would have Ted Nugent as a guest. You know, I'm kidding, I'm half kidding, but I'm also serious because he's horrible on the political things and all that stuff. So I don't know if I could stomach it, but my point is he has always advocated not buying meat in supermarkets and not supporting industries. He's always been like this guy about hunting and about when you kill a deer or a buffalo, use everything, the skin, the bones, the hoofs, make things out of it, respect that animal. And you know, on a level, like you're saying, I do respect that. I do. That is infinitely better than this plastic packaged stuff that's, you know.
Mhm.
So that's great for you to say that. Tell us a little bit on the food side, what has what kinds of things you do that are North African foods, and you also lived in where else, in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, yeah. I actually didn't ever live in Tunisia. I would just
Oh,
visit family there. I grew up in Saudi Arabia only because my father is Arab and took a job there.
okay.
So I moved there before I was one, and I lived there on two different occasions for a total of about 11 years out of my youth. Um, and so I loved it there, honestly, because I think I was young and ignorant, and it was more like idyllic 1950s American culture. We lived on compounds, we were free to roam around, you know, walled in with guards. So
Sure.
I was really sheltered from the culture there much. You know, I went to American schools. Um, we would, of course, you know, comply with laws there, like, you know, alcohol,
Right.
nothing to drive, and when you leave the compound, you cover.
Uh-huh.
But none of that seemed extraordinary to me because that's where I grew up, you
Sure.
know. And I don't know. On a side note, I think if you're going to live in someone else's country, abiding by their laws is sort of just respectful. Whether or not you agree with them, and you don't have to live there, I guess. You know.
Oh, it should be that simple.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And so you were, what ages were you in Saudi Arabia?
So from like right after I was born till I was 7, and then I went back from 12 to 15, and then I went to Austria for boarding school for a little while, and then back to the States when I was 16.
That's great.
Yeah.
Austria, where according to President Obama, they speak Austrian.
Well, they would say they do too.
You know, they would. It's a different type of German, but yeah, that's just a funny sidebar, as I am wont to do. Now, so okay, so you were a teenager, so you were vegetarian the second time you were in Saudi Arabia. Tell us a little bit about vegetarian Saudi food and what kinds of favorite stuff.
Man, you know, it's funny. Falafel sandwiches are naturally vegetarian. You know what I mean? And we had a lot of like Lebanese fast food restaurants. I love that stuff, you know? Yeah. And funnily enough, meat is not the main idea of most meals in most cultures around the world. You know what I mean? It's either a luxury or a condiment, or it's not always necessary, right? I think that we've just had that shift to like a meat and two here, right?
Yeah.
But hummus, baba ganoush, tabbouleh, like all kinds of vegetable salads, couscous. I mean, my mom would make all of the Arabic foods. She loved to cook. This is where my love of being in the kitchen came from. But she was also very adventurous. And so anyone she would meet from all the different cultures that merged in Riyadh at the time would bring over their recipes and teach my mom German food and Syrian food and Japanese food and South African food. And we would just all get together and cook. And So yeah, any of those dishes can be made vegetarian easily. Yeah, and she would
Sure.
adapt. This one's for you, Hayette. There's no meat in it, and here's ours. It was she was brilliant. My mom is like my best friend. Yeah, she's amazing.
It's a great story, and you hit on so many great topics there. And
I'm sorry.
no, this is your show. It's I just hope we have enough time. But so many great topics because and you and I have spoken about this very important concept. Talking about plant based, especially for Americans. It's Americans that need to understand this, and that's not said in a negative way. I could say lots of negative things about Americans, but that's not one of them. But one in a very important way is to say y'all don't realize how rare it is to have 3, 4 servings of meat per day. It just doesn't happen in a lot of the world because of economics. It's just not affordable. And so meat, as countries start getting a stronger economy, unfortunately for the animals and for the environment, meat does represent affluence. I had a guest on from Nigeria a couple months ago, and we were talking about this, and he said, "Man, that's happening in Nigeria, very oil-rich country." And he says all these folks who would eat meat once a month, 2 or 3 times a month, suddenly they can have it every day. So they're having it, they're seeing some of the health stuff, and they're seeing some of the my friend Sumitra mentioned this about India as well, and I've read that in India it's going up. So that's very interesting to hear from you that Saudi Arabia, it's just not a daily thing. It's or not every.
Yeah, or there's plenty of options that are. I think people like neglect. Like, to me, when I say something's vegan to someone, they sometimes I get the reaction that, oh well, I'm not vegan, I can't eat that
I
kind
know.
of thing. And it's not an exclusive sort of situation. And I feel like there are plenty of things that are just already vegan that people don't even realize.
Exactly.
Like even in the South here, like some cornbread and pinto beans and collard greens, leave that ham hock out, you got a full, complete protein, beautiful Southern meal that is vegan, and wasn't lacking. And that also was born of necessity, right? That meal right there. And
that's it.
yeah, I don't know. For sure. For sure. I want to ask you too, if you'll send me the link to I would love to hear more about this Nigerian vegan restaurant.
Oh yeah, I will. Absolutely. Let me make a note. I'll send the link because I leave all these shows up permanently, by the way. So
oh, okay. I'll go check it out.
I'll send you the link because there's probably 20 some shows. I'll find it for you. But also I say that so that if you have friends or colleagues who missed this today,
Cool.
It'll be on my YouTube, my Twitter, my Facebook.
Awesome. So maybe we'll share a link on the Sunflower Diner page.
Yes, absolutely. So I made a note to send you Hakeem's interview. Okay, let me look at some questions and stuff. And to your point, yes, I've heard that for years. We all have this idea of, well, I'm not vegan, so I can't. And when people say that, I just, again, try to catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Right.
And I say, hey, is that a vegan approved joke? Honey? Of course it is. But I say, aren't apples vegan? Aren't do you not like cherries? And they go, well, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, you need to think about it because most food actually is vegan, actually, on the numbers. There's only like 5 popular meats. The other 25,000 things in the supermarket are made from vegetables. Once you think about that. So I love that you said that. So let's see. Oh, thanks, Robin. Robin has just put a vegan Christmas cookies. And that's awesome. Baking will begin. Hey, Laura Doherty is here. Laura Doherty, who you will meet one day, Hayette. She's a dear friend of ours, and she's a chef, and she works in a bunch of the great restaurants in New York City. She's worked at any of the ones we can name, and wonderful vegan chef. She was on the show weeks ago as well. So she'll love coming in when she comes down here. And she's saying, yeah, you're right about the animal flesh being kind of a condiment in other countries. It's just a smaller thing. It's not, it's not this. So I'm going to go to your menu right now, and let's let people see that. And I want you to talk through a few of the things. Let's see. And oops, what do we have here? What I also have is, Oh man, I'm so bad at this sometimes. Uh, okay, so while I'm pulling this up, tell us a little bit. Again, Hayette Bouras is here from the Sunflower Diner. And what are your hours right now, and for delivery and everything? Can you?
Yeah, so right now we're open Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. But I'm
Okay.
hoping soon to kind of expand that out a little bit.
Okay.
We're just doing takeout and delivery right now, but we can do curbside pickup for anybody that's not wanting to come in and take payment over the phone. But yeah, that's where we are right now.
Okay, that's awesome. Um, okay, so again, those of you, when you visit Asheville, this is a requirement. And if you are here and you've never been, this is your chance to check it out. Now, I do this often when I have guests. We're just gonna screen share here, and there's our beautiful planet.
Wow.
And we're gonna zoom in to Riyadh, just so people can get an idea. Look at that. So you were right there right in the middle of Saudi
Yep.
Arabia. Wow, that's about as central as it gets. That's almost right.
It's true.
If you had to pick, look at that. So, and we zoom in, and I tell you, there's a lot of desert around, as we know,
A
and
lot
look,
of desert, but it's a big city.
big city. Yeah, as I get a little closer, you can see the city, and I love this because I grew up loving maps. I just love it. I just love that we're in a world now where I can kind of get a feel for, at least very superficially, where you might have been. Okay, great. So we're gonna go now to your menu, and I want you to talk about that a little bit. So let's do that again. Um, Here's the menu. Okay, great. So it says vegan comfort food for all, 100% non-GMO, mostly organic, made with love by our friends at West Asheville Diner. So before we talk about the actual couple of the items, you also are the help me get it correct. You're the food service manager at West Village Market. Is that right?
Right. We have an interesting arrangement. So I have no ownership in the market, but the diner is my baby.
Right.
That I kind of co-own with the owners of the market for them allowing me to be in there. But
Yep.
I have complete autonomy over the diner. And then in exchange, since it's such a small place, I also oversee their deli's operations. So part of my life is working for them, and part of my life is working for me.
No, that's great.
Yeah. So it's good. Still doing some meat stuff in the deli, but I don't really work back there. I just kind of make sure we have that's running well, you know.
Okay. So you don't have to deal with that per se. Okay, and so the things like there's a vegan pimento cheese that y'all do that's awesome.
Okay, yeah. So what's super cool about for me, I totally geeked out a little bit when I was writing this menu because yeah, I wanted it to be comfort foods, but I also wanted it to be like a reflection of who I am and things I like. So I'm an interesting mix of like hardcore Southern. All my mom's side of the family's from Gastonia. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
when I think about out when I drive through, because they have that Stankonia. But yeah, Gastonia. Okay, so you're from there, or mom from there.
Yeah. That was actually where I was born, and my mom and all her side of the family still lives there. So there are quite a few recipes that were like old school family recipes that made it to this menu. Like pimento cheese is my granddaddy's recipe that I veganized. The potato salads, my grandma's. That's actually her name, Mama Betsy. Yeah. And so a lot of foods that I like to eat that came through my family and flavors that I was kind of exposed to made it to the menu. The North African grits and greens bowl is just sort of like Tunisian harissa, but from a recipe that I got from my dad, and just flavors that I picked up from eating Middle Eastern food, all kind of melded with grits and married together. But yeah, it's definitely Southern oriented. This menu, like Southern comfort.
I love it. Southern, to coin a phrase, yes, Southern comfort. Some good Southern eating. Oh, come on. No, yeah. It's so good, and people again, people have so much to kind of experience with the cliches, because as you said, people don't even often think of Southern food. They just think of the barbecue or the ribs or something. And
Mhm.
like you said, when you dig down and you realize, oh, wait a minute, all these uh, things like, as you said, cornbread and greens and gravy, so easy
Exactly.
to do vegan. And as you could see, all these things like roasted root vegetables and grits with almond milk. Literally, sometimes you have to just change one ingredient, and you're there. So you use so the pimento cheese, you make that from scratch. You
So we don't make the cheese, but we do make the pimento cheese spread. And
right.
everything, almost everything on the menu we make. One of the things I'd like to point out is like the burger. We make it like I did a lot of thinking about whether because the general public loves this Beyond Meat. Of course,
Sure,
we don't carry anything non-GMO in the market, so we
sure,
wouldn't do the impossible. But
sure,
it would have been an easy go-to for our burger, and people like it, and it
yeah,
tastes and mimics meat.
sure,
But for me, I kind of wanted to go a little old school vegetarian, and
sure.
we make our own lentil patty, and we like it. We like to make food. We enjoy that process, and I think it's a really good burger. And
That's
lentils
yeah.
are amazing, you know.
I've had it.
So
Yeah, it's great. No, it's and the lentils are I love lentils. No, the lentil patty's awesome. The sunflower burger's awesome. And you raise a good point. And I love that there's choice for everyone. If someone
yeah,
wants to have that stuff that's just like meat, great. If you're again, the issue is how do we slow down global warming, climate change, cutting down the rainforest, just so you can have $2.99 a pound beef.
it's
So
amazing that those options are there. It's
it's
amazing.
great, but I'm with you. I love the old school thing. We cook everything from scratch that we can, and we have some frozen things and some. I try the bird's eye vegan broccoli and things like that. But I'm with you on that. So lentil patty, and then the mock Philly. So that's a seitan sort of a sandwich. The Frisco melt.
Yeah, right. So
Awesome.
there are a few sandwiches on this menu that I inherited from the deli
Uh,
that I was scared to go away to make go away because so many people already follow like they had a following.
right.
So the mock Philly I inherited. What we have done differently is kind of upgraded it. And so we're making our own seitan now instead of buying it from No Evil Foods.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and it's delicious. We put a dark porter beer in there. It's super flavorful and tender. And we've also upgraded our bread. We're having pretzel buns made for it from the West
Okay.
End Bakery, which is super cool because they're our next door neighbors and we love supporting other local businesses. Um, so yeah, that is we're not above trying to make some vegan versions of meat sandwiches. I think it's fun
It's
and
it's great.
creative, yeah.
Yeah, I'll always fight for that option. Here's the other thing, and you and I were talking yesterday. So many things I want to bring up, but we were talking about how in the 13th century in Europe they were using almond milk, and they were using
That's incredible. I had no idea.
yeah. And I have yet to send you that article, but some of my dear supportive fans who come on this and bring friends and stuff, they know I've talked about that. They know I'm obsessed with that almond milk is thousands of years old, but also seitan. That's 5 or 6 thousand years old. The Buddhist monks. Did you know that the Buddhist monks?
No, I did not.
So the Buddhist monks, and it's about 5,000 years. I forget the exact number, but thousands of years BC,
Crazy.
the Buddhists were developing their protocols and ideas and things, and they didn't want to kill. They knew, okay, let's be compassionate to all these creatures, all these animals, and they wanted their chefs. This is in ancient China to develop some way to eat familiar food. They were like, well, we know all these foods, we want to eat it, but can you do so there was a rich amount of things that these chefs did, and then they used sweet potatoes and they used different roots, but they figured out wheat gluten, what we know as seitan. So they were developing alternatives to pork and all this, and doing the exact Chinese and Tibetan and various Asian recipes, but with seitan. So what's old is new. So I love
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So you make your own seitan. Tell us, just in brief, like what someone needs to make that, like whole wheat flour or something?
Oh, it's ridiculously easy. No, you can buy the gluten already separated from the flour. So it's just basically the protein from the wheat, um, vital wheat gluten, VITAL.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you season that and get it wet with whatever you choose. Like I said, we use beer and a few other seasonings and ingredients, and then knead it as if it were bread dough. And then we take a step for what we're doing and simmer it on the stove for about half a day, and then we shave it, and then we marinate it, and then we grill it for the sandwich. So
Okay, that's it, and it really is awesome. I've got a question here from Lisa McLean on YouTube, and she says she follows the Sunflower Diner on Instagram, so that's awesome.
Hey, all right.
But she's in Charlotte, and she's asking, Hayette, what's your favorite vegan recipe to make and eat? That's always
gosh, that is so
tough one.
So right now, what I'm playing with, I like doing new things, right? So I get bored easy. So, and I think you might have been talking about this before I tuned in because I was listening. But right now, my experimentation is with making the mung egg. So like the just egg.
It's just egg.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it's interesting and it's hard to get down right. So I've been playing with chickpea flour. I didn't really love, but now I'm doing the mung, like lentil.
Mung beans. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, keep us in the loop, and I'm sure.
All right. Yeah, you'll see it on the menu when I get it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of a favorite right now. Just those experiments.
And then my passion is baking. Like all this stuff is great and fun, but I like to bake. I do a lot of like sourdough breads, and I love sweets. I have the biggest sweet tooth. So yeah, baking and just experimentation.
That's awesome. Well, I'm a big fan of baking, and I'm always advocating this on the show because I find that a lot of people who come on, they don't know how to cook, or they haven't experienced it, and they can open a can of soup or something, but they're intimidated. And I always say, start with baking. Just turn that oven on. And I said this last week. I said, get a pan and bake some sweet potatoes, some white potatoes, some onions, some garlic. What's in your fridge? Leeks. Carrots are great baked. Tomatoes. Cut it in half and bake it. Right? Baking is so easy, and you can't really screw it up too badly.
Right. Yeah. And then that is an easy way in. But I mean, like baking as far as cakes and
of course,
and
yes,
and things like that too.
Of course,
that's fun for me. I think what it is about that is cooking. You can kind of taste along the way and adjust.
Right.
Baking is like this surprise. You're like, fingers crossed, this is gonna come out, and then you get to see it later, and it's awesome, transformed.
Absolutely. And that's some yeah, of course. I was just talking about for
roasting. Yeah, that's the easiest thing. That when I'm cooking dinner when I get home, that's what I do.
And then folks are not scared of their oven anymore, and then maybe they'll start looking up, how to make a bread or a pie or something. Mm-hmm. Well, we had it was Robin's birthday about almost about 3 weeks ago, and we got her dear sister ordered a pie, as you know, and you spoke to her.
So sweet.
And then we got one for Thanksgiving, 2 weeks later. So
which pie did you get?
Actually, on Thanksgiving, we got the coconut cream pecan.
Oh, good. That's my great aunt Kate's recipe that I veganized. It's ridiculously good. It's kind of bad though. I call it diabetes pie. It's really sweet.
Crack cocaine, folks.
Yeah, it's good.
But it was sweet, but it wasn't. It walked right up to the line of. But it's what you're eating dessert. You want it to be sweet and good, and
yeah.
It was incredible, and I love that there's the explosion of vegan desserts, and you're in such a good, an amazing vanguard. And I have to say, I rank your stuff as good as anything I've had in anywhere I travel, so.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's really great to have you walking distance from us. And I've had you join some really top-notch chefs, as you are as well, who have been on here. There's a woman named Lacey Scher who owned a restaurant called Down to Earth, and she's got a cookbook, Down to Earth cookbook, and her partner Gail also is an amazing vegan chef. Laura Darty, who we just spoke about, and another Laura, my friend from Paraguay, and so what you all have in common is changing people's minds on delicious sweet stuff, and it's not crumbly, it's not compromised, it's top notch desserts. So tell us, so you have the pies right now. What else do you have for desserts? I'm looking here.
So we always have our 4 standards. We have our peanut butter pie, we have our banana pudding, we have our lemon pound cake, and we have our chocolate fix, which is kind of like a dense, sort of healthy almost chocolate pudding. And those are always there as our staples. But I'm always playing around with something else. I think right now we've got chocolate chip cookies, we've got some pecan pie. Tomorrow we'll have cinnamon rolls and
lemon.
Yeah, just playing around with things. We just had an Italian cream cake, which is one of my favorites.
I got Italian cream cake. Yeah, that's Italian sweets. I got to try your lemon pound cake. I've never had it.
Oh, you do? Yeah, it's like a lemon loaf. You won't like some things I can tell they're vegan. This is nobody knows.
And it's a full-on pound cake of that dense kind of consistency.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had pound cake in like 30 years because I used to love that.
Next time you come in the market, come see me. You got one waiting on you.
Absolutely. And then the sides are so good. And the sides remind people, because I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with vegan, they look at sides and they go, oh, I understand this, because they know what coleslaw is. They know roasted potatoes and grits. So I love that someone can put together. So tell us a little bit about that. You said clearly you have the vegans, the vegetarians, Asheville Herbivore. I'm on that Facebook page, which is really cool. Tell us.
They're awesome.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about when someone comes in that's not a vegetarian. Tell us what the exchange is like.
Cool. I don't know if you remember, but the actual diner has been through a transition. When we opened, a little bit because of the hesitation of the owners of the market to like completely alienate their customer, they wanted us to sort of offer a couple options for omnivores.
I remember.
It felt like, I kind of understood, and I felt like that might have been a nice way for people to sort of come in and try, like invite the omnivore to come in and try. It turned out being more limiting to us. It turned out to just make no sense. And so after a year, I sort of really pushed for us to be able to just go ahead and make that leap to be 100% vegan.
Great.
What we see are mostly people that are seeking us out because of the fact that we're 100% vegan now.
Okay.
Which is awesome. But oftentimes people happen upon us when they're walking down the street or they're tourists and they don't even know that we're vegan. And it's those people that decide to give us a try anyway and then love the food that I feel like are little tiny wins for the movement.
That's important. Yes, absolutely. So that happens because of, we're a very tourist town. And as you say, where you are, for people who don't know, it's beautiful. It's like a high street if you're in England, like it's the street you want.
Yeah, it's the coolest spot.
Everything. So I love Haywood, and you're right. Tourists just walk up and down. So that's very interesting.
Not to say that we don't love our vegans. That's our, those are our people. And, that's who we're making food for. You know what I mean? We're making food for everybody.
but that's the cutting edge. That's the important thing, to get new people interested. And that's why I started doing this show, to kind of tell people, hey, you don't have to be a vegetarian, but why not try it for one single day? And so people just come in and they say, oh, I understand what a burrito is, I understand what a soup, and they just try it, huh? And then
it's funny. Sarah, my line chef, she's been with me the whole time, so totally built the diner with me. And she and I kind of joke because we can kind of read when someone walks in and looks at the menu, and they have this face they get when they finally realize. I'm like, oh, you didn't know you walked into a vegan diner, did you? And they're like, no, we didn't. I'm like, here's what you want to eat. And we usually steer them towards some things that, nobody would care, like a waffle or a pancake, or, you know what I mean? Something that like, or even our mock Philly. It's a very meaty replacement, So yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
great. I,
fun.
I don't know if I've ever had the classic Philly cheesesteak. Maybe once. I went vegetarian at age 19, so I ate a lot of things up by then. But
I
maybe
don't think I've ever had one.
yeah, I got to try that. I got to try that sometime. No, all wonderful stuff, and of course, some people get confused, but once it says vegan, they know. But you see the word bacon or you see the word butter, it's
Mhm. We get a lot of people that are still like I was the first time I went into a completely vegan restaurant was oh man, I can remember every bite of everything I ate. It was Modern Love in Brooklyn.
okay.
And amazing. Uh, but I just was kind of blown away by that. Oh my God, I can order anything on the menu. And then everything I'd read, I'd be like, hesitant just from my habit of dissecting menus everywhere I went. Like, you mean this is vegan, right? This is vegan. And we get a lot of people that are just like, but you mean this is vegan, right? And we're like, yeah, it's all vegan. It's
No,
fun.
that's great. That's because I think words like sausage,
Mhm.
and burger and things like that are what does that mean? That's just an object made out of something, and
It's funny. You could use the little euphemisms or misspelled versions, and a lot of menus do that. And we thought about it too. And then I was just like, this is just our version of bacon. I'm just gonna put
you know
bacon on here.
it's I love that we got to get into these conversations, and one of the things I'd love to continue talking to you about is the history of food because I'm obsessed with that, and that's another thing when you go back and in different cultures around the world, Asian cultures, European cultures, they I haven't found anything on sausages in African cultures yet, but in those two, you have a lot of sausages, us, European and Asian. And in both cases I've been reading about, they made them out of anything. So there was lentils, there was eggs, there was fish, there was beans of all sorts, almonds again show up because they had to use what was available.
Yeah.
There wasn't any hard thing that it's got to be made of meat. I mean, that's just like a lot of vegetarian ideas are modern kind of philosophical constructs. So is this idea that sausage is 100% meat. So that's really great to see that you went that way with it. Let's see if there's any questions. So yes, Laura, you're on the first show, so we're gonna make sure you visit when you come down. Laura is saying your menu is amazing.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to meet. You have to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. She's worked at the Sacred Chow in Manhattan and Suen, the famous macrobiotic place. So you're gonna have a lot to talk about when she finally comes down here.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm ready to go back to New York just to eat. I've only been a couple of times, and oh, I loved it.
my mom was from Louisiana, right? So she takes your idea of Southern mixed with. Um, Sabina in Germany wants you to beam the food over. We need an. So
Oh.
And then Patrice raises an interesting question or point that the only problem with seitan is so many are allergic to gluten. Yes, they are. Some are, and I got you. The good news is there's a million other protein sources. Is there a way to do seitan, Hayette, with say rye flour or some?
So, not to my knowledge, it's really not even flour that's in there. It's just the actual gluten. That's what it's made out of. But like that's the reason we made our burger gluten free was to have some options,
Sure, sure.
And there are plenty of things like our tempeh bacon is also something that a lot of people who are sensitive to gluten are enjoying now is the build your own bowl option, which
Okay,
isn't really described out on this version of the menu on Kickback. But
okay.
on our menu on the West Village Market website, you can see the full menu, and it's about a million ways you can make a combination bowl
Oh,
for
and
and
what's
there's only like a few things that are have gluten in them.
okay? And the West Village. What's the name of the page on Facebook?
Oh yeah, westvillagemarket.com.
Okay.
We have a page on their website with our full menu on there. This is the Kickback AVL order form. So.
Right. West Village Market. We'll take a look at that. Oh, so there's no. Are there other grains with gluten, or I guess not?
Yeah, for ours we mix it with a chickpea flour.
Okay. but seitan is inherently a wheat.
Oh, yeah. So other grains do contain gluten, but I'm pretty sure that they extract this gluten from wheat.
Yes.
Um,
I bet if there was some other way to do it, someone would have done it by now. Um, and so it is what it is. But I hear you, yeah. But the good news is, and I go in and out of gluten free. I did something last year, 8 months of no grains at all. So I had no.
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, and there's a lot there about human population and grains and how they became part of our civilization. Grains are interesting, man. They're actually pretty new to humans on the scope of humanity. They're
Oh,
very new.
yeah. They had to grow, like agriculture had to come about first, right? I mean,
Exactly. So there's an interesting thing there, and I think we overeat them, but certainly they're very healthy and they're awesome and they're. Okay. So we went now to your actual menu on the West Village website. Oh yeah, this is a whole other vibe. So yeah, the beautiful. You know, I can see a couple other different things. The West Side hot mess. Look at that. So tell us about that because that's like a Southern biscuit.
dude, I love that. That's new to our menu. We kind of updated the menu when we had our 1 year anniversary, October 1st. And
Okay.
when we went all vegan. And that's a new one that's one of my favorites. We're making a sunflower cashew cheese that we use for a lot of things on our sandwiches and spreads. But we turned that into a queso, which has pickled and fresh peppers and cumin and all kinds of like Latin flavors. And so that's drizzled on top of a biscuit and gravy with our tofu scramble and a sausage patty. It's like this big old breakfast mess. I love it. And it's probably one of our most popular items right now.
That's incredible. Um, I'm
Then
just
you're gonna need a nap after you eat that, though.
right, right. Well, that's good. Nothing like a good food coma. Okay, and going back to some comments here, and let's see if anyone on YouTube. Okay, great. That was our question so far. So on here though, people are saying some interesting things. So Sabina, who's always, she's kind of our she plants the flag in Germany, and she reports in from there on different things. Which Germany has amazing vegan and vegetarian options, but she's saying she did not know that seitan is gluten. Yeah, sure, it's made from whole wheat. I did make it once, like 20 years ago, and I did it from the whole wheat. So I made like a dough, like you're making bread, and I had to knead it and run the water, and it took.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot easier nowadays.
Yeah. So let's see. So vegan baking is challenging. Gluten-free baking is difficult. Yeah, it's gotten so much easier though, because now the Bob's Red Mill stuff is in every supermarket, and
So gluten-free baking is still a little challenging for me. I like the texture that gluten provides structurally to breads and cakes and things. But definitely we do play around with a lot of it, mostly because so many people are requesting it.
it's huge. And but like you say, it's what we our human culture grew up with gluten and how it texturizes and how we're not going to get away from that, and I applaud that. Nothing like awesome fresh roasted bread, fresh baked. That said, I'm sympathizing with the people, and when it comes down to a balance thing, again, in my 15 years in natural food store, I found that, and this is before the gluten-free thing was just the buzzword. This was 1990 to about 2005. So it was happening. It was still very fringe. But what I found is that anyone we just eat too much monoculture. We just
Mhm.
don't
I'll
need,
agree with that.
and then get the mix going. Eat more vegetables. Eat more fruits. Eat more stuff. But the problem is if you have 10, 12, 15 years of typical American diet, which someone does, then you're 15 or you're 12 and you have gluten issues. I'm not saying that's everyone. I know there's some people with genetic stuff happening, but I find that 8 out of 10 times it's just the American diet is packed with gluten, packed with corn, and if you don't actually eat some fruits and vegetables, you can run into problems. So, yeah, some interesting stuff. So Eric's going to come in and get the hot mess soon. That's great. So people are are loving it, and
That's awesome.
she's turned pescatarian then vegan. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. A couple other questions. I know you probably have to go and continue, living your life, but this time, how much time do you have right to hang?
um, I'm okay. Maybe like, I don't know. How long do you go?
Well, I usually 5:30 is kind of my average, and sometimes I go. I base it on if I'm getting a lot of questions, if I've got a guest. Sometimes I've had two guests, so it's pretty fluid. But I want to respect your time, and if you have a deadline, but if you don't, then we'll just keep chatting.
Yeah, we can chat for a little bit.
Okay, great. So we talked about the diner. People know where it is. They know that it's going to be delivery for the foreseeable future, and
takeout. Yeah.
takeout. Sorry, you can order
Yeah.
and great, which I've done. Um, Please follow the Sunflower Diner on Facebook and on Instagram. And
Yeah.
what's the tag on Instagram?
It's at Sunflower Diner AVL.
Okay, great. So we'll let's see. Where's my okay at Sunflower Diner AVL.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Sunflower Diner AVL. I like to pull that up so people can see it. Oh, come on. All right, so that's gonna. I think people can remember that one. Sunflower Sunflower Diner, AVL. It's asking me to log in.
Sure, that's how you'll find us on Facebook or Instagram. Both.
Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. So going back to a couple of things. So I wanted to make sure we had the socials on there. We saw the menu. We got your hours, and so touchy area, but I like risky areas. You said you make your own seitan, and there's a very well-known company in town, No Evil, and they make their seitan and stuff. And you all used to carry it, and it's a very public story, so it's not like it's a gossipy thing. Did you all choose to stop carrying their products, or did they carry them in the frozen section still, or what?
No. We as a market still carry the products, and we were one of the first people to carry them. I remember Sager coming to our back door, sort of peddling wares when they were getting off off the ground. And we do still use some of their products in the diner.
Yeah.
We really want to move towards making everything we can ourselves because we like to make food. And we think we do it well. Also, we were having some trouble in the beginning, the first few months when we were open, sourcing their product.
Right.
So it was born of necessity, really, at that point. We're just like, okay, we're going to make it if we can't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do want to kind of stay, just out of respect for Roseanne and the market, kind of stay out of commenting on that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's all you need to say.
We can talk though after the show.
And I'll say, so these are my own quick things on it, but just in the way of educating people watching who are not from here. No Evil Foods. They're I think a great company that makes a plant meat, as they call it, plant-based seitan. They have like a chorizo, and they have all this, and as like Hayette alluded to, they're from here and they started here, and we used to get their stuff at the farm market. So I remember when they were just a couple at a little table, and they, hey, try this. So I'm honored to have been a customer from day one. We have so many farm markets in our wonderful town, and they've grown into a thing. But I urge people to go read about them, and they're nationally available now. They're in Whole Foods. They're all around the place. No Evil Foods. And quite frankly, they ran into a controversy where there was a unionizing attempt by some of their workers. And they said, yeah, that we choose not to be a union place. They actually pay really well. There's a huge article you can read that looks at both sides. And I'm pro unions and I'm pro worker rights and proper pay and everything. And I have to say that there's stuff on both sides. And I keep saying I'd love to get them on one day and kind of, if they want to come and tell their story, but there's some articles out there that go through the whole thing. And I applaud them for at least addressing it and trying to go head to head and trying to. So I love that Roseanne orders their stuff, and at the end of the day, the final thing I'll say on that is the problem we have is, what do we know about the people at Diamond Almond Producers? What do we know about Amy's? Well, I happen to have met the people at Amy's. They're pretty cool. But you go through a store.
Right.
What do we know about the owner of Hain Natural Soup? We don't know. And so it's tricky when you get into my thing is just support the product, because by supporting the product, that leads back to environmental, action and things like that. So that's why,
it's definitely a start for sure.
It's a start. And that's why at the most ground zero is supporting people like you who are making it from scratch, getting it from local farms and things like that. Tell us a little bit about on the produce side. I know during the farm market season, you're getting delivery,
we're
right?
The luckiest little tiny restaurant in town, right? Because we are in a completely organic and non-GMO market, right? So also, I don't know if you know this, I guess you do, but Ron, co-owner of the market, owns Mountain Food Products.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We order a lot of our fresh produce locally through them. And then we get produce from our produce department regularly that, like in every other grocery store does this too. It's not new, but it's pretty fun for us. So like say they have a bunch of cauliflower that they're not selling fast enough. They give us a bunch of cauliflower and say, make something with this, So we try not to waste any food. And in that way, I mean, we compost, of course, too, but that's the kind of a last resort. We try to take everything from produce and make something delicious out of it. So it's pretty fun. I call it like MacGyver cooking.
I love it. No, I love that. There's many times I've been in the market and I run into you to say hi, and you've got your apron on and you're obviously cooking, and you're over by the produce department, and you got a colander full of.
Hey, I don't have to order a case of jalapenos if I only need two. I can just walk right over there and buy them from the market. It's really cool. Yeah.
No, it's really a message to people to look for. If you don't live around here, look for something like this in your town. Look for somebody who's utilizing local farmers, local food. We got to do this. We're really in a crisis. I'm going to throw a couple questions to you on kind of what's going on out there. Have you seen, and the news broke today, and I'll put it on the page. Have you seen this lab grown meat? You know about this?
I have heard about it. Yeah. To me, it's not attractive, but
of course.
I think it's net positive, right? Less suffering, better on the environment. Just like the Beyond and Impossible, like meat thing, imposters or whatever. I think if it brings somebody to veganism, to vegetarianism, then I think it's positive. It's not something I'm gonna explore.
Yeah, that's we're totally in harmony there. Not for me, but again, if it does something for, I mean, you see these images of the polar caps melting and the flooding and these yearly storms that are getting worse because of climate change, folks. And we can fight it, but every time you look it up, the number one input is this meat industry, the water that's used, the rainforest. We cut down to grow soybeans that don't feed starving people but feed cows. So I'm strong on that issue.
Totally.
That's a great, thank you for your answer on that. I agree. So this is happening. Here's the headline: Singapore has approved it for sale. So you're going to start seeing it, and we should ask. Robin's son and daughter-in-law and two beautiful twins live in Singapore, so we're going to
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we're going to see if the 2-year-old twins, we're going to see if they'll try this and be our experimental.
Yeah.
But here's the other punchline I want to say. I didn't know this. I read the article. The Just Egg company is doing this.
Oh yeah. Just today, I didn't mean to say just, but today earlier I was reading or watched a little video about the science of and kind of like where they're coming from. And it's completely the environmental perspective. You know, they are food scientists trying to solve an environmental crisis. And it's not trying to turn people vegetarian or vegan for any kind of other reasons. It's really just trying to solve a climate problem. And I think it's fascinating the chemistry that the processes they're exploring, you know. And like I said, the end result is positive. But I'm also kind of like, there's plenty of food out there. You know what I mean? I don't know if I don't need the chicken because there's all kinds of other stuff to eat. You know?
It's exactly, and you know, that's what's interesting. And I always look to what are the poorest people on earth that, not beyond the ones that are in absolute crisis, famine, and babies with flies on them and sort of thing, but a couple clicks above that, where it's a functional third world society, which whether it's Malawi or the Sudan or Jamaica or Argentina or Peru, you go to these poorer countries or parts of the deep south. You go to these places. What are people eating in Mexico with 129 million people? They're eating simpler foods, and so they don't need some kind of synthetic kind of thing. They have beans, they have rice, they have greens, they have potatoes. So it's very powerful to have you conclude with that. So that was one of the news items. I have another news item, and then but first I want to show here. I did get your. I finally conquered technology, and I got your.
Oh, cool.
Sunflower Diner. Wow, folks, you got to subscribe to this Instagram. Look at, I mean, you know,
dude, yesterday's special was off the chain. We did a vegan ham and cheese croissant with our like a pineapple maple glazed seitan ham. It was so good.
That's crazy. Now, what cheese do you use?
That was Violife smoked provolone.
Oh man.
Oftentimes we use a cheese that we make, like a cheese spread, but we also use that. I also love dairy cheeses, and I'm trying to work that into my menu. They're amazing local company.
Superb textures, and you know, no, I'm with you, and I love Violife as well. Have you heard of Rind?
No, where's that?
They're in Brooklyn. My sister just gave us a gift of some of the cheeses. Rind is doing French kind of blue cheeses and French fermented type cheeses with the rind, hence the name. They make that rind that you see on blue cheese and Gruyere and all that.
I would love that.
Insane.
All
I mean,
day.
cashew based, other nuts. So really good. But sticking with your stuff. So what's this one in the middle here? Is that a pancake?
That is a cinnamon swirl pancake. That was a couple days ago. We took like the cinnamon roll filling and marbled it in the pancake and then baked it or grilled it. Yeah, it was good.
Let me drop the link in there for people. So, oh my God, folks, get that get that Instagram into your life. Let's see. Oops, how do I get back here? Stupid. Okay. All right, there we go. Now I can see it. So, okay, you've got, I saw a little, what vegans eat for breakfast? Yeah, I love it. What's this? So this is going to be your.
Okay, so that's Miyoko's pepper jack cheese, grilled cheese, and our chili. That was good. There's so many awesome products, and that's another perk of working in the market is that I can just walk over and be like, today's special, I want to use some of this, you know?
Yeah, here's what's
and that's some City Bakery sourdough. They make some great bread.
Look at that. Folks, come on. You tell me that you don't want to curl up with some Netflix and a bowl of chili or tomato soup.
Cold days in the winter, you know?
We're big grilled cheese and tomato soup people here.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, man. Put on some SVU and get something. So, what do we have here? This is a burrito?
So yeah, Sarah, I've mentioned her a couple of times. She's super creative with the lunch specials. That's usually what we post on here is our specials. And that's actually like a Polish burrito, sort of like a stuffed cabbage. There's sauerkraut and all kinds of stuff inside of there with a red sauce. It was good.
Wow, a Polish burrito. So I love that, and and Sarah developed that one.
Yeah, yeah, she has a lot of fun with that.
Okay, great. Is that part of her background, Polish food and Polish culture? Or she just likes that.
I don't know. We were before COVID doing a monthly international dinner party,
Remember?
a different country every month. It was so much fun. And she and I would plan like a fancy 5 course meal and sell tickets. And hers at her suggestion, we did Poland for one of them. So I think she just likes those flavors. I don't know if that's her background or not. She's from Michigan.
Yeah, that's great. I love Poland. I've been there, I don't know, half dozen times, and it's really great for vegetarian. A lot of people don't realize Poland, Hungary, Romania, man. Again, as you and I've said so many times, yes, they eat meat, but the other 22 dishes that are kind of floating around, side dishes and whatnot, are so easy. So I get that question every time I come back from a tour, and friends know, they go, "Oh, must have been hell for you in Russia or in Romania." I go, "No, man. I ate 6 things I never had. These
Yeah.
amazing mushrooms and cabbage and things." So that's really beautiful cross culturally for you to be doing a Polish slash Mexican meal there. What do we have here? Tacos. Okay,
Yeah, totally.
what?
Totally. We just like, we like making food. I'm lucky to have people on my team that enjoy cooking and eating and believe in what we're doing. And um, almost everybody that works on my whole team does not eat meat. I have one meat eater and they work in the deli,
Okay,
which is probably good because somebody needs to taste that.
that's true, and,
Um,
yeah, and that's beautiful because this is a top level thing, and to have that many people who really are living it, and it's their life. That's what I think keeps the bar really high, because you all know what's the best. So this is three tacos with Italian sausage, refried beans, banana peppers, blistered tomatoes. Wow, hello, I'll take it. And the pesto mayo, that looks like something you make yourself, right? The pesto mayo.
yeah, yeah, we do. We make a vegan pesto and then we mix it into like a vegan mayo.
Great.
Um, that is sort of Sarah's take on an Italian taco special.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, once people realize it's all about texture and mouthfeel, once there's fat and there's crunchiness and there's salt and there's
Hmm. Totally.
okay, here's a shot of the diner for any of you that have never
Yeah.
um
No stools anymore because of COVID, but yeah,
baby, it's
we can't wait. We can't wait to have people eating in there. That's what we love about the diner too, is the customer interaction that we get. We
right.
like to I think it's cool for people to come in there to watch us make their food, and it's equally cool for us to watch them enjoy our food. And we have so many regulars that we recognize their voice on the phone. We know what they're going to order when they come in. They feel like it's home. It's those relationships are what, like we started talking about earlier. That's what makes it all worth it on both sides.
No, that's so well put. When you moved to Asheville, was part of what brought you here the very rich kind of plant-based vibe and energy, or had nothing to do with that?
It didn't have anything to do with that. I moved here a long time ago. I was 25 and I just needed a fresh start.
Okay.
And just I had worked in restaurants before, so I just kind of kept up with it. I worked at, I don't know how long you've been here, but do you remember Bean Streets?
Bean Street. The name rings a bell. I've been here 13 years. So.
Okay, it may have been closed by then. It was like this iconic coffee shop downtown where Green Sage is now, but that was my first job here, and I met so many people from working there in their kitchen that I still know, or that have just been the right people for me to know.
That's great.
But yeah, I got to grow up here in a sense, my adult life.
And how great that the plant-based energy is so exploding. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not only are there a few kindred vegan restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, but as you know, every place in Asheville you could go and you'll find, 3 or 4 things.
absolutely. I love that. I don't feel like this is a small town with so many options and so much good food.
Yeah.
And it's not like a dirty competition. It's like inspiring. It keeps us on our toes. It helps us to stay good and innovative and have fun. And we all like to eat, and we go to those places too. And I don't know, it's a
No,
very supportive culture here, you know?
absolutely. And you know, I have to say, and I travel around the States a lot, that's not true everywhere. What we have is kind of what you see in South America and the Caribbean and in Europe, and in Asia, you know, places I've been, Japan notably, but where no one gives you a vibe if you say, "Hey, is there some vegetarian stuff in Asheville?" I'm saying a lot of places you go, and it's like they have a thing about it. I love that even 12 Bones, the big famous, you know, barbecue place, has some veg sides and beans and rice, and they say it on the so that there's a very accepting vibe here. So
Yeah, I love that we have reached that critical mass too, to where I mean, a business is silly if they don't have an option for vegans, you know?
I love it. Who has the time to do this wonderful entries and all the tagging and what stuff is? Do you do this?
I do that every single day. Even on my days off, I get somebody to take a picture and send it to me. But I'm a little bit of a control freak about the page. I don't give anybody else access to it.
You know, I salute you on so many levels, but as someone who has to deal with social media for all the bands I do and everything, it's a whole other full-time job. I applaud you, but you fit it in there and you get it.
It's important. And I think our customer, a lot of them locally, I've come to learn if they want to know what the special is, they need to look at our social media, you know.
I love that you embraced it. You know, I know so many business owners and artists and stuff who just won't embrace, and you just got to understand exactly. People, they whip out their phone, they look, and they quickly check, and you're going to get their business because it looks delicious. And you know, I love how you tag things too, like Violife and City Bakery, so people can kind of put the picture together. And a lot of responses. You have a lot of responses. So this is
Those are my grandparents.
oh, how nice. Are they still with us? Or?
No, well, my grandmother is, but my grandfather is not. She is 89 and she lives in Gastonia.
Is that
And she's actually eaten at the diner before COVID. So that's pretty cool.
Is that Betsy?
Yeah, that's Betsy Ross right there.
That's her name, Betsy Ross?
Uh-huh.
That's great. That's great. So, well, that's awesome. You are flying the flag for her. Let's see. This is a pancake. Okay, pumpkin spice pancake. Everything looks like it's from a different kind of background, which is awesome. It's such a nice mix. I remember this right. You guys are very careful, but people get exposed, and then you took the right steps. Yeah, that was a few months back. Barbecue seitan sandwich. Look how southern that is, folks. Man,
it's satisfying.
that is the real deal. And then,
oh, this is so cool. A local baker. I don't know if you know of Hominy Farm.
Yeah.
You do?
I've bought their bread, I think, somewhere.
Yeah. They're at the farmer's market. Well, they're vegan and they come and eat all the time, or used to before
they are.
Go to take out. And they make us these bread bowls and bring them to us on Wednesday mornings. So we're trying to do soup specials and bread bowls now on Wednesdays.
Hominy Farm? Yeah. And I'm always
they're great, amazing people.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to, you know, off the air, put me in touch with them. Kurt Hampstead, what's up, bro? Kurt Hampstead is a good friend of mine. I was born in Guyana, South America, and Kurt, there's a vegetarian restaurant in Guyana, and I'm working on getting them as.
Cool.
I know it's like it's around the world. It's beautiful. Okay, so that's as wintry awesome as you can get. A bowl of soup or chili or anything, and then you eat the bowl. Right?
Yep.
Another nice dessert. This is a pumpkin pie.
Yeah, that was like Thanksgiving pumpkin pies.
Coconut cream. There you go, folks. That's human history right there. Thousands of years. We love bread.
Love it. Love good bread. Yeah.
Good crusty bread, and you know whatever on it. Vegan butter, olive oil. Do you have cinnamon rolls?
Yeah, I actually made some dough this morning, so we'll have them tomorrow. I'm
I
working on doing a frozen take and bake cinnamon rolls for the holidays, so I will update everyone later on that. But like a 6 pack of frozen cinnamon rolls that you can take home and bake whenever you want them.
that is that's another thing I haven't had in 25 years. I used to, because just like you, it's one thing that it's vegan, but I don't eat anything that's got, you know, all these chemical names and artificial colors and flavors. So that cuts me
Sure.
out of a lot of things like a store bought cinnamon roll because it's, oh my God, right? This list of ingredients.
Hmm, hmm.
So, okay, that's great. That's great. And then, yes, you mentioned pancakes for four, breakfast. Awesome. They look great. This is
This
when,
was the day the election results were. It
oh, that's great. Impromptu.
was so funny. Yeah, that was right across the street from us. I just had to record it.
I love it. I love it. Well, the celebrations broke out all around the country for good reason. More. So people, you get the idea. You're starving now. I know. A sausage hoagie, Violife. So, and Violife is the sausage or the cheese?
That's the cheese. Yeah, it's I think out of Greece, but really good, melty, good cheese. Yeah.
That's a funny one, and it's great because they are experts in a lot of dairy, and great that they make a feta that's amazing. So okay, there's your cinnamon rolls, and um, that's great. A lot of cool stuff rounding out the picture of the diner, folks, and nice positive message. I read that on the wall, and
Yeah, we have a different local artist that just displays their stuff every month, which is cool.
I love it. And for me, it's such a great connection to the way restaurants and natural places used to be. I mean, we were talking about that before. You were talking about just keeping it kind of old school, keeping it basic. Do you remember this is before your time, but the Moosewood cookbook? Do you know that?
No, absolutely. That is so not before my time. I'm about to be 42 next month.
I said that with quotes.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, see, I love Moosewood. Yeah.
And I say that more along the way of things just drop off popularity because of course the Beatles, and that was before our time.
Oh, totally.
But that
I
book,
feel like that stuff is gonna make a comeback though. Like my mom was that woman that was making carob brownies. You know what I mean? Like
well, I will make a promise to you. The woman who did the recipes in that, and
mhm.
she doesn't like social media or any. She's not online. She doesn't have a Twitter account. Nothing. So out of respect, I'm not going to say her name. But she's a dear friend of Robin and I, the woman who worked at Moosewood for years and years.
Cool.
Yes, and developed those recipes. And she's been down to Asheville once. Her husband's a musician, and she's been here. But I promise you, if when they come back, because they love it, I'll make sure we come and bring it, because that book is so important, and I feel a lot of the history of it in some of your work. And
Yeah.
good to hear
Yeah,
that.
it's foundational, you know?
It's. Have you ever been there up in Albany to the?
No, I have not.
Okay, that's it.
Unfortunately, I haven't done much traveling in the United States. It's kind of funny. Most of my traveling was overseas, and then there's
Sure.
a lot I have yet to see here.
Okay, you're busy cooking good food. Wow, that creamy coconut potato. So yeah, amazing stuff, folks. You got the link, so check that out. Let's go back and see if there's a couple more questions, and we'll kind of wrap up. Um, Kurt's there. Hey, Gwen. Hey, talking about plant-based life today. Um, Sabina says she had soljanka in a bread bowl in the Tag Tajikistan tea room. So I don't know what soljanka is, but that
I
sounds
don't
like
either, but I'll eat it.
it sounds great. Sounds delicious. And bread bowls in East Berlin. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Because that's the thing in a lot of those European cities. So many people have come there from Turkey, from Saudi Arabia, from India, from Egypt and Sudan and Nigeria. You have these great, great cultural things.
Yeah.
Another news item, because I always throw some news items at my guests. have you heard of this problem with the minks that are catching coronavirus? Have you heard of this?
No, I have not. I
So
am not plugged in right now, but that is crazy.
and that's okay. I never judge people because you know what? You're doing some important, you're doing the goddess's work, making amazing food. So I just put this out there just to tell people, when you can, when you have the bandwidth, please stay on this issue. So the minks, and this is a difficult area, but I think it's important. The minks, these beautiful mammals that unfortunately they use for fur, what's happening is they're catching coronavirus, and the coronavirus is mutating. And so it's very sad, but I really think we have a choice. Either we don't know about it and it keeps happening, or we do and we give some sadness for that, but we figure out what the hell we can do.
Exactly.
It's tough, and it's tough even talking about it. But in Denmark, in Netherlands, in a couple of the European countries, and now in the States, in Oregon, Washington State, and Wisconsin and Utah, where they apparently raise these animals a lot. Place after place after place is having infections, and the virus mutates, and then humans catch it back. So to me, it's like we better get on this. This is not, and it really emphasizes that this virus has a lot to do with how we are cruel to animals. So
Yeah.
so that answers my question. You hadn't seen it yet, but
No, I will check it out.
yeah, and now for the first time I'm seeing.
It's really scary. And I don't know. I know I'm not alone in this, but I'm so ready for this to be over.
I know.
So, and I mean, this just is alarming, to think that it's just going to keep mutating.
Yeah, it's going to be for a little while. That's a whole other topic.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, but the good news is we've paid attention to vaccines, and hopefully one will work. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm not going to get it right away. I'll wait 6 or 8 months. I'm not going the first line, but at least it will open up businesses again and open up, travel and people can get to commerce. Having said that, though, folks, please read about this, stay on this. Now it's in Canada, and it's something about the mink and how it catches this, and so it's just a drag, but one of those things that you hate to bring up some bad stuff, but
no, it's good. I appreciate you pointing it out. I'm definitely gonna look into it.
Another question: what's your thoughts on the and I think I know because you've already said, like, look, I'm a whole food person. I want to make from scratch. But what are your thoughts on the vegan advancement of two big companies I featured last week, Bird's Eye and Green Giant? To my shock,
Right.
they have these frozen items now, like a cauliflower and broccoli and some other things, absolutely clean ingredients, which is shocking. Like they usually screw that up. What's your feeling on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of like what we were saying before. I feel like it's indicative of this critical mass having been met or reached by the movement. Like big business is figuring out, just like dairy, right? They're figuring out cow milk is plummeting and alternative milks are on the rise. So if they want to stay relevant, they're going to need to diversify and meet the needs. It just makes financial sense. But it means to me that more and more people, for whatever reason, are making that choice, which is positive. But then we got to dig a little deeper, like we just kind of briefly touched on earlier. It's a start, right? Voting with your dollars is a start.
That's it.
Making these changes is a start. But once we know more, we do more, right? Like the mink, okay? And yeah, so industrialized organic farming is also pretty harmful to soil, whether they're growing tomatoes or not, or corn or, so once we know more, we do more, hopefully, but I think it's net positive.
Absolutely. No, it's
And access is important too. you know.
That
So
that's the exact that's I agree. That's the way to look at it as we talked about. I just wasn't sure if you'd heard of those particularly. Um, in the interest of just going over some fun new products,
ooh,
here's
is this the rind?
yes.
Oh, I can't wait to look at that. Are they distributing? Like, is that something maybe we could carry?
I hope so. Look at that. I mean, it's like
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant.
they're doing it with a mold and it's a blue.
Uh-huh.
They're doing it all the way. Look at
Ooh,
that.
I love funky food so much.
This is your jam. It is so good.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And what's cool is the people that own it. The woman is a she's got an all vegan tattoo studio in Brooklyn, and also she's a nurse practitioner, and she's got
Great.
a plant based primary care clinic. How cool is that? So she's also like healing people and kind of
Dude, she's doing everything. PhD in economics.
I'm trying to reach out, but how delicious, and so I thought you'd love that, and I'll put
Brilliant.
people. And they look here. They're saying just what you just said.
Yeah.
Dairy is in decline, so people are trying different stuff, and
Yeah.
environment requires it. So
Love it.
we're doing that. So that's awesome. Well, Hayette, let's
Dude,
thank
thank you so much.
absolutely, and we'll do this again.
Yeah.
At another juncture, and hopefully when you have your grand opening.
Yeah, right? Hopefully you can come sit down and have a meal.
Yes, and I will definitely. You said cinnamon rolls tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally. We'll have cinnamon rolls for sale in the diner tomorrow. It's Biscuit Tuesday, so we always do $1 off our biscuit sandwich on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So swing by, and yeah, I so appreciate your support throughout this time, and also through this show. I love being able to talk to you about it, and thank you.
Absolutely, it's been a joy, and hopefully people were inspired today and try some new foods. And yeah, we'll see you in person either tomorrow or real soon. And we'll do one as I talked about. I'd love to get either just Rosanna and Ron or whoever wants to come on from West Philly.
Totally, and I can introduce you to quite a few people that you may want to invite. So
please, because the message is anyone helping someone to just do this one day a week. That's enough for me. And
or even one meal. I get you.
That's it, and that they're doing it, from a plant-based place is really cool. So, yeah, I don't know how do we. Well, I think if you just hit end, then I
hit end.
I don't know how to hang my guests up, but
okay. Bye.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks again. That's awesome. Folks, thank you for hanging. I'm just going to wrap up on a couple other kind of housekeeping things and another idea or two. But wow, what a great that's I love the guests because you get the best part is it's not just me yammering. I mean, come on, that's you're halfway there to joy if you can shut me up. But wow, what a inspiring, Hayette really is a great new friend for our family, and on so many levels, just really fun to talk to, and progressive and smart and kind of very psyched about possibilities. And then on top of it, killer food, so hope those of you who ever come to Asheville take note of that and check it out. And even if you're not in Asheville, hey, follow them on Instagram, which is always fun. I follow all kinds of stuff that's very far from me, but some great eye candy, those, the desserts and different entrees and stuff. So let's go back. And as always, I wrap with a couple quick comments. And if anyone's got some closing questions. Jack, how are you, man? Jack asks, is that the same penicillin mold? I believe so. Go to the website. There's details there, but it is an actual, mold. It's a, an inoculated substrate. It's all plant based. The whole thing's vegan, and the bacteria is part of it. And that raises always a fun topic: like, is bacteria vegetarian? Is it? It's somewhere in the twilight zone. It's not an animal. It's not an algae. It's not a fungus. It's single celled organisms. So people can make their decision there, but the rational decision is that we consume bacteria all the time. It's entering our body. It's on foods. You can't eat a peach in the summer without some bacteria. So yeah, the rind thing, amazing cheese, and it uses that cheese. So let's see if y'all have any other quick questions. I always share, and I'm not seeing enough. What did you have for lunch today that was meatless? What did you have? Hook me up, and feel free to put pictures in the thread. So what I had today was a rare day because usually I'm so fortunate. My dear other half loves to cook, and she makes such amazing stuff. But I cooked today one of my favorite things, which is I love Asian food, Thai food. Man, put me on an island with like a vegan ramen place, and I'm pretty set. Or Thai, or awesome. Just you know, and it's tough because I love Mexican, I love Mediterranean, but I tell you, Asian food, the whole diaspora, the whole spectrum, I should say, Chinese, Thai, Indonesian, Japanese, Malaysian, Cambodian food, Indian food, Pakistani food, all of it. Whichever ones I'm forgetting, Tibetan. Such a great and rich plant-based culture because again, they had to come up with solutions. So they used all kinds of amazing fruits, vegetables, nuts, roots. Coconuts show up across that spectrum, right? Coconuts, coconut milk, coconut flesh, shredded coconut. So the beauty of Asian food is how balanced it is too. You picture a lot of the spiritual practices also of Asia, and there's a lot of balance, right? So I love that the food is very balanced. Proteins, fibers, fats, very easy to do without cholesterol. Of course, lots of Asian foods, especially Americanized, are loaded with cholesterol and saturated fat and pork and all this, but super simple to do without that. So I did a little soup today. This is a coconut-based soup. This is just a nice. That was my lunch. And what is that? That's coconut milk and ginger and garlic and a lot of scallions swimming in the bottom there. You can't really see them. A couple cherry tomatoes. What did I spice it with? A little chili powder, a little dried red peppers. Like I said, you got some ginger and garlic in like a watery, kind of half and half coconut milk and water broth. You're good to go. You can't screw that up. But black pepper, a little sea salt. But again, the ginger really making sure that's just at the edge of noticeable. There's some green peas in there. You can see a couple peas floating. And there's the last bit of parsley from our garden. I picked that seconds before it dropped into the soup. No tofu or any kind of, the protein is from the peas. There's vitamins and minerals and stuff from the tomatoes and the celery and the what else is in there? I said the scallions, so you got a really balanced meal there. Some sesame seeds I garnished. And I want to point out so I love that. Just a very nice, spicy, but not, blow my head off. Nice, warming kind of a winter thing as we're about 2 weeks from winter in this hemisphere. But one of the things I want to focus on is that pasta. Look at that pasta. It's my favorite pasta right now. We got that recently and we've been cooking it up. It's this pasta. And I've been loving this company because I don't eat much pasta. I'm not a big. I get my carbs from beer and the occasional sweetie bit, or where else do I get my carb? I'm not a huge carb guy, but I get, I like candied ginger and kind of a couple times a month a piece of chocolate. But I'm not a big sweet tooth, not a big carb guy. I don't eat a lot of bread. Like I said, it's from the beer, you know. But so pasta I usually stay away from. But these new pastas that are high protein, um, again, look at the protein, 25 grams in a 2-ounce serving, and the carbs, because there are carbs, 19 grams, which is not low carb, but not bad either. That's better than a lot of pastas. And of course, very low fat, 3 grams of fat. And like anything plant based, we don't say it enough, zero cholesterol and zero saturated fat. A lot of potassium, 1,100 milligrams of potassium, which is a third of your day's potassium. And it's 1/3 of your day's iron in just a 2-ounce source. So I can't say enough about this product. And they got some recipes and um, Explore Cuisine, I guess is the name of it. But there's the specs on it. High in fiber, of course, which you don't usually, get to say that. Anyway, so that's good. That's the pasta that we see there. One other dish that I made was just your classic Italian sort of. So Robin had made a beautiful sauce or a gravy, if you're in certain parts of the Northeast, an Italian tomato sauce, tons of garlic, tons of just herbs and stuff, and some vegan meatballs, as it were. The company from Canada, I'm forgetting the name right now. Gardein makes these really great, just soy balls, if you want to call them, or gluten balls, but they're styled like meatballs, and it's fun to just have a once in a while have a spaghetti and meatballs kind of a dish. But we used this. She used this spaghetti, and so I've been using it for other stuff. So look at that. That's just spaghetti, olive oil, a couple big cloves of garlic, and some pepper flakes. Just a quick nosh. Just a quick. That's it. Just and as you just saw from those specs, wow, I'm getting a great dose of protein there. No cholesterol, delicious sauteed garlic, and just a lot of flavor. Pepper flakes. How can you go wrong with olive oil, pepper flakes? I'm trying to adjust my olive oil, though, because I'm probably eating too much, and I've been reading. I'm going to close with that, with a discussion on fat, and I'd love you to do some of your own research. But the omega 6, kind of omega 3, omega 9 picture, which I'm always trying to learn about. Possibly eat a little too much olive oil. So that's it on the pasta. I just wanted to share with you that, and the same company does this, a red lentil penne. So I'm about to do a penne arrabbiata. About to sometime soon, because I've been promising for a while, but really soon, like in the next couple of days. And then they do, for you Seinfeld fans, notice there's 3 different things, right? It's been lentil. Oh, the black spaghetti, by the way, is soybeans, black soybeans. So they make stuff out of soybeans, lentils, and here's, for you Seinfeld fans, as I said, chickpea fusilli. There was that time persona non grata Kramer made pasta versions of the characters on Seinfeld, right? And I think George was ravioli because he's a little chunky, and I forget what Elaine was. And then he presents the gift to Jerry, and he says, "And Jerry, you are fusilli Jerry." And Jerry goes, "Why fusilli?" "Because you're silly." So anyway, as you know, this show can go anywhere, and we just went to Seinfeld. That's right. So, folks, it's just been a blast today. Thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye. And, as always, I end with just looking at the closing kind of comments and questions. So hit me now with a comment or a question or a suggestion because we're wrapping up. Sabina, okay, you're answering what you had for lunch. Nothing. You're fasting. Good. I applaud you. Jack says we are bacteria. Yeah, certainly got a ton of bacteria throughout our being and couldn't live without it. You had a wheatgrass fast. Okay, that's great. Awesome. The earth is a petri dish. Petroleum allowed the human bacteria to overtake. I like it. We're a little bit more complicated than bacteria, but yeah, I'm with you. There's nothing like a good pea. That's right. Split peas, the humble little green pea. Wow, what an awesome thing. Beer is fluid bread. Absolutely. Believe me, I'm not knocking beer. Love a good beer. And I'm a kind of a beer snob, I guess. I'm never gonna, Pabst Blue Ribbon or some crappy watery lagers or, American Budweiser and Coors and all that. Good beer, good English beer, German beer, the real deal, Belgian beer. And we have an incredible beer culture here in Asheville. It's a little overwrought, actually, but we have probably 40 brew pubs or breweries. So Laura is saying to me, that's funny. I need to be out here. You can come eat at Sunfire. I know, Laura. Just as soon as you can, we'll get down here. Yeah, you're right. Good packaging. You're right. It's all cardboard, just that tiny little bit. And if they start developing corn-based plastic, maybe we can get out of that problem. Laura saying cookie recipes, please direct message me. So Sabina, you got one earlier from Robin. If you want to add some other baking recipes, cookie recipes, whatever, just message Laura Darty, who's right in the thread there and was on my first show. Okay, good. Okay, so the very final thing that I'm gonna close with, a little bit of a homework thing. And y'all know that I'm always talking about fat. And it's a real issue because society kind of drills into your brain, stay away from fat. And no, that's very mistaken. Fat is so important. So important. You couldn't function. Hormones need fat in the synthesis of hormones. All of your organs depend on some manner with proper fats to maintain all kinds of things. Your bloodstream, making cholesterol. Cholesterol is awesome, actually. It's great. It's one of my favorite things. But you don't ever need to eat it. Cholesterol is awesome. I just said it. Some of you might be going, he's a vegan. Why is he saying cholesterol is awesome? Because it is. Cholesterol is incredible. Holy shit, one of my favorite things. Because my eyes wouldn't work, my brain wouldn't work, my nerve endings would be problematic, my joints, but especially in your head. There's a lot of stuff where cholesterol is important. You get into the substances that protect your nerves, protect your organs, protect your blood vessels. Cholesterol, we need it. But guess what? Your body makes all the cholesterol you will ever need. Yeah. Your body makes all the cholesterol you will ever need. So we need to be looking at fats very crucially. And I'm helping a family where the young woman has diabetes. She's very young, so that's good. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a medical scientist. So don't get me wrong here. She's going to a doctor. She's getting medical analysis and medical suggestions, absolutely, which I applaud, and I'm science-based. However, once she has all her numbers in her paperwork and they say to her, hey, cut your carbs or get more of this or get more of that, or you need more of this mineral, that's where I can come in and help and talk about foods. And I've helped a lot of people with diabetes. Diabetes is actually one of the low-hanging fruit. It's it's relatively not complicated to get to. if you're early on. I don't want to belittle people with serious diabetes problems, but um, if you're pretty early on it, and you got a handle on changing your diet and doing some basic things, the two big areas is cut those carbs, especially the simple processed, over processed carbs that are such a part of the American diet. Two things: cut those carbs and fix your fats. And two big problems in the American diet are overwhelming amounts of processed carbohydrates, meaning white flour, sugar of all types, but especially the more refined versions, the white bread, the rolls, and the pasta, and the endless bread. Very, very carb heavy. And the sugary drinks, that's a big one. Soda. I mean, I know people drink soda every single day, and some of them have run into gout and to sugar issues and whatnot. So even though we started talking about this stuff in the 70s, I feel like, people are still drinking, buying half gallons of Mountain Dew and Coke and all these things and blowing through them in a few days. So we have a crisis, folks. We have many, but one of them is this sugar issue. So if that speaks to you and you're someone who's saying, yeah, I need to start looking at sugar, know that you can cut the carbs and simple carbs, but also get your fat profile looking better, and you help with cravings. You help with digesting the carbohydrates that you do have. What am I talking about for fat? Things like avocados, Brazil nuts, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds, good fatty seeds that you put in your salad or over some pasta, like I just showed, sesame seeds, avocados, coconut and coconut fat, coconut milk, shredded coconut. All these are great plant fats. And then all the good oils. And you want cold pressed, you want organic where you can, raw oils if you can, And olive oil is a great one, but again, it's easy to have a bit too much of that. And I'm looking at that for myself now because we use olive oil quite a bit. But again, you will make all the cholesterol you need in your liver. You never need to eat it. So that's something that we need to break that thinking. That it's something that people get confused because then they read, oh, well, cholesterol is essential. It is, but you don't need to intake it. So that's, so let's, what I wanted to show you was a website, and I'll put a link as I always do. And it's a guy who's a hero of mine in terms of, and I have many in natural foods and books that I've read, but this is a guy named Udo Erasmus. And he's one of the experts of, natural food and kind of eating whole foods and eating natural foods back when Whole Foods referred to a type of food and not a company. But I'll link you to his site. He's really awesome, man. And he worked for a company called Flora, who is well known for making these different oils. And it's a great website. I'll jump around for a bit, but this caught my eye, and I was reading this article, and it's pretty daring headline: olive oil, it's not as good for you as you think. And when you read it, he's pro olive oil. It's fine. And he says, we've been eating it for thousands of years, but he says, maybe use it a little more limited and mix it up a little bit. It's omega-9. It's 80% of olive oil is omega-9. So if you're eating a lot of olive oil, and not much other fats, you got to watch out, because it's about balancing omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. I'm not going to get bogged down in the biology of that, folks, but I urge people all the time, this stuff is not difficult. Please go read about linoleic acid, read about EFAs, essential fatty acids, linoleic acid, read about medium chain triglycerides. Just get these things if you care about health, which you probably wouldn't be here. These are not complicated things. They're not. They're just basic biology. But what you can learn is kind of a little understanding of what foods do these things come from? Do I have them in my diet? Wait a minute, I'm eating too much corn oil, which is the typical American. Typical American is sky high in corn and corn oil. They don't realize it, but corn is in everything, from the corn syrup to the corn flakes to the corn oil that many things are cooked in, to the corn fed cows and chickens. You're getting that corn, in a digested form. Corn, 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 corn. We're a corn culture. Not to mention all the corn that's just in the popcorn and the corn chips and the tacos we eat a lot of corn, and so we're getting almost nothing but omega-6, and so it's important to learn about that. So do check that out. Great article, and he gets into some real details. And there's some great, like any good site, talks about this man Udo Erasmus, and he's really. I learned about him in the 90s when I was working in natural food store, and next week we're going to talk a little bit about Joanna Budwig, who is his counterpart, who unfortunately passed away. But you know what? I'll put both links up. So I'm going to end with that, just giving you a little suggestion here on reading materials. So let's see. So Udo Erasmus, there's his page, and Todd says, yeah, more grapeseed oil. Grapeseed's a good oil, and that's funny, Kylie. So corny. Very good. Okay, so let's go here, and I lost track of where the page is. Oh, this is an interesting article I was reading. I love throwing out news items to y'all. Did you see this? Ticketmaster is going to check your vaccine status when you buy a ticket. I know, hard, subject change there, but I'm just, on my browser. But yes, this is going to be the very interesting thing. As the vaccine kicks in, here's my prediction right now. Prediction, December 7th. And it's not a fucking genius thing or anything. Not only will concerts require vaccine status, and you show it on your phone or you prove it, airlines, you're going to see a split. You're going to see some airlines, maybe Delta and the bigger ones, are going to say, that's it. You cannot get on our flights. You can't even buy a ticket without vaccine status. People are going to be pissed. But it's the free market. They could do what they want. Mark my words, people are going to get all upset. They talk about freedom, and it's not freedom. It's a company saying, here's our requirements. You need to be this tall to get on this ride. I think you're going to see restaurants and chains. I don't know. Target might start saying, sorry, can't shop here. Mark my words. It's going to be very contentious, and you're going to have that split that we already have. But what it's going to do is, if this vaccine turns out to be working really well, or this host of vaccines, people will be able to be safe, and they'll be able to go, I'm going to a concert where everyone is free of this viral infection, and I'm safe. Those of y'all who want to stay outside and call it the flu and the cold and the hoax, you're not coming. So this is where we're headed. And again, this isn't Andre's crazy paranoid world, which really doesn't exist. But I know some people think that. Here it is. Billboard.com article. Ticketmaster is already planning this with Live Nation, and they're doing it with a company called Clear. Now, if any of you has flown lately or been in an airport, you've probably seen Clear. They're always off to the side. It's a private company, and you can go and sign up, and you pay them whatever per year. And what they do is intense security check, and you give a lot of personal info, but in exchange, you can race through the airport. I use TSA pre-check. That's what I chose, and it's awesome. Oh my God, I travel so much for my work. Oh my God, I can't. My other half told me about this, and I snoozed for like 2 years. I finally got it. I show up at an airport, right to the front of the line, and I'm watching anything from 50 to 75, sometimes 300 people waiting online, and there's 4 of us on the TSA pre-check. So Clear is kind of like that. And how this is going to work is Ticketmaster is going to get the info from Clear. You go, you get the vaccine. Clear gets that info in something called the Clear Health Pass from your health practitioner. It's all very secure. It's no less secure than the world we already live in, with bank information, credit card information, all these things. Sure, there's problems once in a while, but for something that massive, it's essentially very secure. Ticketmaster then gets that info and says, okay, this person is clear as it was to get in. So mark my words. So that's something that that's coming up. So I just wanted to touch base on the other hero I had in the 90s for learning about fats. And some of you are like, man, is he talking about fat again? Wow. Again, it's at the foundation. Your immune system will not operate without the right fats. Your digestive system will not operate without the right fats. Your joints, your nervous system is not going to be protected. Your brain, your eyes, your reproductive system. I mean, we can go right down the list. Your crucial organs, kidney, liver, heart, lungs, they all need building blocks. Your hormones, which then are steering almost everything else I just said, the tools that your DNA is looking for to make new cells and everything, fat, and we have blown it. That's why I make such a big deal. We have so fucking blown the fat picture in America, especially. And I talk about America for 2 big reasons. That's where I live, and it's the 3rd most populated country on earth. So I don't know as much about China and India. I'm learning, but look, this America impacts the rest of the world in our habits and things. And there's a lot of us here. So that's why I talk about America. And then also you go down the list, other countries are not blowing this at the level we are. So here's Joanna Budvig, and yep, that's up on the screen. I urge you, I will send a link here, and she, wonderful woman. She passed away about 17 years ago. I believe she's German. Budvig. Budvig, right? You say it like a V, Sabina? Dr. Johanna Budvig. Guten Tag. Bitte, mein Herren. Bitte, meine Fräulein. Guten Tag. So, some great stuff. And I'm telling you, folks, don't be scared of this. I mean, if you had some high school biology, or even if you didn't, it gets a little thorny, but it's pretty easy to understand. And again, she just breaks it down and talks about DHA, EPA, ALA. You've probably seen those things. DHA, a baby's brain is not going to develop properly without DHA. And guess what? If you have a baby, if you do one of 2 things. If you breastfeed your baby, or your partner breastfeeds your baby, guess what? Mother's milk is filled with DHA. Wow, nature's fucking amazing. And the milk of any mammal is perfectly designed for that mammal. So a monkey milk, wow, news alert, perfect for a monkey. A bear's milk, not so good for a monkey or a dog. Wow, absolutely perfect for the fat needs of a bear. A rat, not so great for a tiger or a human. Perfect for rats. And we go down the line there, and you see where I'm going here. Cow's milk is not perfect for us. It's really a bad choice when you start looking at the fat profile, the hormones like estradiol and estrogen and progesterone. Women that are drinking milk and not looking at the numbers, wow, we have an epidemic in this country of what women are going through by just pouring another mammal's hormones, 40 or 50 hormones, the ones we add and the ones that are naturally in. It's staggering why anyone would do that, especially in your hormonal reduction years, in your menopausal years. Why would you pour a bunch more hormones into your body? It's your choice. I applaud all free choice, but I'll also question it if it looks a little And the thing is, we just don't know. We're not taught about this stuff in high school and in basic education. You have to go to college and university level biology, which I've had some of. I've had um, county college level biology and university level chemistry. So maybe I'm emphasizing that this is easy stuff, but it really isn't that hard. But DHA, you would do well to look up. The other half was going to say what I did say. So you get it in mother's milk. But if you look at any good formula, whether it's Nestle or I don't even know the companies, I don't have children, but I love children. I'm around babies sometimes. So there's all these brands, and they've all cleaned up their act, actually. Baby formula is way, way cleaner and better than when we were kids. But they all have a little thing on the front now with DHA, featuring this many milligrams DHA. So it's a thing, and they know that they need to, parents. So as an adult, check your DHA also. So Joanna Budvig, super incredible scientist. And I say that because she simplified this so beautifully, and she really, got some of these crazy, difficult chemical ideas brought very down to earth, as did her counterpart, Udo Erasmus. So you've got two people who are heroes of mine for many years. And hopefully you can go read a little bit of that. Oh, look, we're getting an infinite thing because I'm screen sharing Facebook. Look at that. We're gonna sail off into infinity, folks. So let's go. Let's finish a couple of your questions, and then I'm out of here to play some music and maybe do some yoga and eat some more good food. So let's see. Let me back up to where we were. There's beer, and then there's plore, as we say. I gotta look that up. Sabina, you're getting homework. Yes, it feels like school. Time travel. Well, I'm on a journey with all of y'all. Thank you so much. But I'm sharing, and I am a teacher. I sit right in this spot, and I reach over and I talk about major chords and Mixolydian mode. Anyone want to learn basic theory and spelling triads? That's the other thing I do. But I do it right here. And so I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher for many years. I've taught night school in county college. I've been a substitute teacher for over 20 years. So I love it. I love the, because I learn. You learn every minute that you teach. It's really profound. And it's, for my bad mental health, it's a lifeline to some kind of sanity, because you do learn every day that you teach. And I see a couple of dear teacher friends of mine. I see Kylie Bird is here and Todd Reynolds are here, and they're both teachers. So am I lying, right? Teaching, it really, so thank you for saying that. Todd says, doing some of this and oh, thanks, bro. Inspiration. I missed your show today because Monday I'm on the air at 4:30, but I've been loving, checking it out. Let's, does this play? If I hit play on this, is Todd Reynolds still there?
Steven, Stefan, hello. I can say your last name a lot better than your first name apparently today. Hey Stefan, say hi to Irina. And Sasha.
So there we go. Yeah. Todd, that's a little surprise for you. I was jamming around with my friend Todd Reynolds yesterday on his show. But music, it all fits in. And if we're not doing some music, we're talking about getting healthier. So that was Todd and I jamming, unbeknownst to him. Sabina says a study of calcium helps the body to excrete fat. I I don't know that, and I don't. I need more understanding of that. Does that mean taking a calcium supplement, or just naturally eating calcium as you do in green vegetables and certain seeds and nuts? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll look that up. That's a great. But I know what does excrete fat that I don't do enough of, which is get the hell on a bicycle and walk a little bit more. So I'm working on that. So I will look that up, but send me anything that you might have seen on that. Much more grapeseed oil. Yeah, exactly. And that's good stuff. I know, right. Ticketmaster, crazy. I know it is, Sabina, but on the other hand, right, I'm trying to be devil's advocate. They're a business and they need to ensure to the bulk of their customers, we are providing a safe place for you. And if it's May of 2021 or June of 2021 and this vaccine is working well, wouldn't you want to prove to your customers paying $120 and $180 and $350 to see Paul McCartney or something? Don't you want to promise to them, hey, look, within tiny percentage of uncertainty, we are promising you a COVID-free experience, because we are not letting anyone in this room, none of the crew, none of the staff, none of the ticket takers, no one who works here, and none of the audience without that vaccine. It's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it, but I'm looking at it going, wow, nicely played. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen across the industry. I'm guaranteed. So let's see. So Kylie, you raised a great point. That's my problem with vaccines. I'm pro-vaccine. I'm pro-science. Vaccines have eliminated smallpox, essentially, right? And it was in 1972 or something. They said, okay, smallpox is done. Check me on that. But somewhere in the last 30, 40 years, polio has gone away. Smallpox we had for close to 10,000 years on this planet. The ancient Egyptians had smallpox. We know that now. Europe, all through the Middle Ages, Dark Ages, all these things that were called plagues. A lot of times, of course, there's a bubonic plague, there's other ones, but I've been reading about smallpox voraciously, and I urge you to. It's fucking crazy. Smallpox has devastated this planet. There's a vaccine. No one gets it now. So I'm pro-vaccine, but I'm also a skeptic of the regulation and what the ingredients are and who's looking over their shoulder and what punishments there are if they fuck up. There's a lot of exit clauses for these companies where, so I agree with you. It needs to be done tighter. Government said in Germany by 22, we're vaccinated 1/2 population. Hey, that's ambitious. And if anyone could do it efficiently, it's one of the most efficient and futuristic places on earth, which is the Germans and the German medical service. So I'll put my money on that. Like the flu, they guess you need a shot at least once a year. Exactly. So it's going to be twice a year. Very good, Todd. Your car needs fat also. Lipids in the vaccine make short-term side effects. I did not see that. Okay. Budwig. Okay, I got that pretty close. Kylie, you're asking about the powder formula to babies, and hopefully I addressed that earlier. But yeah, you can find good and bad and medium stuff, of course. But almost even the cheapest low-rent Nestle formula usually has DHA added to it, which is it's awesome. That's a major component to babies' brains, and as we saw in here, yeah, the docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, good stuff. So let's come out of the screen share. Here I am. So yeah, powder formula for babies. We wish there was universal breastfeeding, but we know that there's many reasons that doesn't happen. But where we can support it, awesome. And Todd is here. Todd, there you go. I bootlegged you, bro. I had a little 1-minute clip of us jamming. Kylie, very kind. I'm honored to have taught with you in a couple different schools, and that's great. Um, breast milk from a bank if they can't provide them. Oh, that's great. I remember there was a woman selling breast milk ice cream and breast milk cheese a couple years ago. There was an article and people freaked out, and it was like, what? Why is that so weird? It's actually the same animal, humans, right? Why not eat human ice cream? It's one of those things where people just freak out, right? I love shit that people freak out about, and there's no real rational reason. Why wouldn't you eat human cheese? You know, and if you don't, then if it's gross, then why is it gross? Um, you know, I love that. Most people will freak the fuck out if you handed them a cone or a bowl of ice cream, and then halfway through them enjoying it, you said, "Oh, by the way, that's you know, that's Michelle's breast milk." We oh man, dude, what the fuck? What? It's ice cream. You like ice cream? Isn't that funny? And yet, coming out of a 400-pound cow that has all the wrong hormones for you, it's awesome. I don't know. Let's explore that. But here it is: breast milk ice cream, Baby Gaga. That's very funny. This company's in England, maybe, I think, but you know, you have this. Wow, yes, they're selling it in stores in London. What year was this? It was a couple years ago. This is probably the one I heard of. But yeah, called Royal Baby Gaga. The ice cream is made from donated breast milk, and that milk's been screened in accordance to hospital standards, and then blended with Madagascan vanilla. Available in select stores in London this summer. Proceeds from the sales will go to a breastfeeding charity. So there you go, folks. I don't have to make this shit up. I really don't. It's you know, it is it's a wonderful world. Here's wow, that one's a little edgy. Breast milk butter and breast milk cheese. So this is a Manhattan chef making cheese from his nursing wife's milk. You know, I'm not just like I don't want cow's milk. I don't know. Are y'all down with this? Are you gonna have some of this? And if not, if it's gross and sickening, then how come? Because you eat cow's milk, which has far more hygienic issues, I think. Look at that, huh? Fun stuff. All right, so we're just having a little fun here. I'm gonna get out. Yes, that was fun, Todd. Oh, the shootout. That's funny. Yeah, we had a little riff shootout and a shout out. David Byrne, American Timber, talking about how many connections. Baby's brains. Yes, yes. Isn't David Byrne vegetarian? He was for a while. I don't know if he is, but yeah, he was veg for a long time. Maybe still is. That's a good quote, Raymond, and that can go. That's a gravestone candidate. I'd like to have 3 or 4 to pick from, but that's a good one. Calcium and fat. Okay, here it is. Inverse body mass exception. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'll look some of those studies up. I will say that the cow milk is not really a great source of calcium. And the simple kind of anecdotal thing to think about there is think of how many people have calcium issues and brittle bones and osteoporosis in the Western world. How do we have that if milk is perfect, right? We're all sucking it up since we're babies, drinking milk, eating butter and cream and cheese. We're having milk, butter. How does anyone have osteoporosis? Think about it. Osteoporosis should be as eradicated as polio, right? I'm just going with their narrative. Why do we have insane amounts of brittle bones and elderly people with incredibly bad bone situations and bone density? I don't get it. They're all drinking tons of milk. So maybe it's not a great source of calcium for humans. Just a thought. Excellent sources of calcium. And I'm not, this isn't fantasy land. Again, I've got a medical checkup coming up in a month or so, and it's going to be tricky with COVID. But I've shared with y'all, because I don't care. It's just science. I've shared some of my medical results, and 3 years in a row, I've had them go, wow, your bones at 53, 54, 55, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Your bone density is great. And da, 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 da. And I say, yeah. And I don't consume any dairy for decades. And they go, oh, okay. What I'd love is those doctors then sit down and say, we got to start talking to people, because all the people pouring milk down their throats are coming in with irritable bowel syndrome and digestion issues and acid reflux issues and bone density issues and cholesterol issues. And I don't know, we look at this population of people that don't do that, and 5 or 6 things are a little different. Just me. I guess that's crazy to actually apply science and say, wow, observable data. Let's do some research, of course. Let's do double-blind tests. Let's do science on that idea. But it's alarming that the idea doesn't even spark discussion, So that's my thing on milk and calcium. I just, if the calcium source is milk, then I think it's already problematic. So okay, so stealing milk of human babies too. Kylie will try anything once. Okay, so you'll have some human breast cheese. Hey, that's an open mind. I love it. Okay, Ross, isn't that some of the genetic? Are you saying bone density? Absolutely, yeah. Anything in that realm of what your DNA is going to make. So how thick your hair is, or your, all kinds of body components, including bone density and things like that. Absolutely, genes are going to play a part. But once you go to like the epidemiological level, and then I urge you to look this stuff up, you start looking at bone density in, say, most Asian countries, especially Japan. Not a problem. They're not seeing the problem. And as they Americanize and start drinking a lot of milk, and there's a big study about this in China, because China, all these countries, cow milk was not a thing. Think about last time you went to a Chinese restaurant, most recent time that you've been to Chinese, Japanese, or Thai restaurant. Think about that for 5 seconds and picture the stuff that was cheese or cream or sauce or, done in butter or anything. Think about it. Japanese restaurant. Exactly. Now, modern Americanized sushi places are doing like kind of mayo and all this weird shit that you don't see in Japan. But I think you get my point. By and large, Chinese food especially, think about a Chinese menu. How many things are smothered in cheese, like a Mexican place? Exactly. How many there's no dairy. These are cultures that were almost devoid of dairy. And in the last century or so, we're all mixed up on planet Earth. They do consume tons of milk now in China and Japan. And guess what? They're tracking bone density issues. They're tracking breast cancer issues. They're tracking all kinds of things, increased allergies and all kinds of stuff. So these reports are out there. So yes, some of it's genetic, but if you look at, again, at mass populations, so where do you get calcium? Anything green, kale, collards, chard, broccoli raw, broccoli itself, spinach to a lesser degree, but there's some in there. Sesame seeds, wow, incredible source of calcium. I use tahini and sesame seeds. Robin's always putting sesame seeds and stuff. Really, most nuts, almonds, great calcium, Brazil nuts, walnuts, macadamia, any nut is going to have varying amounts of calcium. I don't know. Let's see. There's this stuff, this soybean. Okay, great. So I was raving about this spaghetti before, and it's got 2 ounces, gets 10% of your day's calcium from soybeans. I just remembered there that tofu and tempeh have good calcium. 10%, 120 milligrams of calcium in just 2 ounces. Just 2 ounces. So calcium's really easy to get, but we're banging our heads against the wall here in America. In my 15 years in natural foods retail, the amount of women that I sold calcium tablets to, or calcium magnesium, they're often together, or other mineral combos, but calcium and magnesium are pretty huge molecules, so they're and you need a lot of it, so you have this huge amount of these giant pills. I used to be like, wow, what? And so there's a problem. We're pouring milk down our throats, and I don't know. Show me where it's working. This is a long discussion, and certainly people with, for instance, Northern European genetics do much better on milk. People with, again, Northern European descent, and certain Eastern European. People with African descent, Middle Eastern descent, Asian descent, Central American, South American, don't necessarily do as well. So there's some stuff that's changed in human history, and you get into that, but we can continue on that some other time. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Kylie says she's a dairy addict. She needs help. Well, you know what? Yeah, my friend, you're living in the best town. You can go get a vegan pizza over at Pizza Mind on Haywood Street. There's some incredible vegan cheeses now. It was harder to find a good one, even 5-10 years ago. Certainly 20 years ago, there were these rubbery kind of tofu-y type things. We've reached a place where it's really incredible right now. So talk to me, and we'll help you get off whatever cheese. And I think you see in every supermarket now, oh my God, right? You go to the dairy section, I can't keep up. And this is true everywhere in America. When I'm on tour, I go to stores, I'm blown away. And this is even in a Walmart or something. Oat milk, almond milk, cashew milk, soy milk, good old soy milk going, hey, what about me? Soy milk, rice milk. One of the big companies, I think it's Quaker Oats, they just bought one of these oat milk companies because they grow a lot of oats and they know oat milk is popular. So talk to me, my friend, because it's pretty easy to, and out of all of those 8 different ones, I think there's going to be one you like, because some people prefer rice milk, because some people are 2% milk people. Other people like a fatty, creamier whole milk. Some people like, and so all those plant-based milks, there's one that you'll probably love. Ice cream, dead easy. I mean, even Ben & Jerry's has like 4 dairy-free flavors now, and there's 100 varieties of other companies doing dairy-free ice creams. There's that store here in Asheville, The Hop, that does homemade vegan ice creams. They do a cashew, they do a hemp seed. So, let's talk, because we can, if there's something that you like. You're not afraid, already out of the closet. Okay, yeah. Dairy addict, is that the reference to dairy addict? And you like oat milk. Awesome. Okay, so that's awesome. So yeah, you're doing fine. Just kind of keep finding, because we need you to have healthy bones and healthy hormones and all that. It's the cheese you love. Okay, so we'll get you some alternatives. All right, folks, I am out of here. Somehow my computer's trying to print. Thank you so much. What a wonderful day. We had Hayette. She was awesome. And if you ever come to Asheville, go to the Sunflower Diner. Next week, very special guest, and I'll start promoting it in a day or 2 or 3 or 4, is the one and only Don Preston. That's right. Don Preston from the Mothers of Invention. And Don is going to be on next week. Don is kind of a flexitarian these days, but my throat. Don is one of my dear friends, and anyone who knows me well knows that I've toured with Don for many, many years. Toured with him, and but he was a vegetarian back in the 50s, man, 50s and 60s, all through that time with Zappa. He was Frank Zappa's keyboard player from 1966 to 74. He's 88 years old, and still very active. He's got a gig coming up next week that we'll talk about. And what a living legend. And, but we talk all the time. I said, Don, come talk on my show about, so he's going to talk about what it was like being vegetarian in like the late 40s into the 50s. Like, and it was pretty rough going, but he did it. And then he was vegetarian all through, going on tour with Zappa and being made fun of, and, but as usual with these folks, we talk about their life and their art and everything. So we're going to talk about Don and his creativity, and at 88 years old, what he attributes, and I'll give you a preview. He says yoga. He's done yoga for, more than half his life, and he's done plays a lot of tennis and eats, like I said, at this point mostly meatless diet, but he was doing it when your parents were figuring shit out. So I actually took this picture. Look at that picture of him with the keyboards on the upper right of your screen. That's in our old house 20 years ago in New Jersey. So that was Don. We were doing an album, and yeah, wonderful guy. So that's next week's guest. And then I got a couple of special other guests coming up. So stay tuned. I'll drop one recent article here. Tell some folks about it. This is where Don and his lovely wife Tina, they had just moved into this house. They got evicted, their landlord, and then a fan came forward and said, "Hey, I'm a fan, and you're senior citizens, and you can rent my apartment for an incredible rate." So, yeah. So there you go, Don Preston next week on the show. So let's drop that in there. And thank you, Raymond. Thanks for being there. Thank you, Sabina. Always great to know that Deutschland is on the map here. Thank you, Kylie, for stopping in. Thank you, Raymond. Always, bro. And love you all, and see you sometime soon.